watching Business Day Television.
I am, of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
BusinessDay is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, BusinessDay has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. Our premium offerings are further enriched with syndicated content from esteemed sources like the Financial Times, The Economist, and the Harvard Business Review. At BusinessDay, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications.
For being consistent in organizing these CEO forums for almost the last 14 years, I think this was a commendation, and I think something that will encourage them to continue.
From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision-makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, BusinessDay fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. BusinessDay is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, BusinessDay is your guide.
The Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission is an agency of the federal government of Nigeria established to encourage, promote, and coordinate investment in the country. NIPC role is designed to proactively promote Nigeria as an investment haven to further stimulate foreign direct investment to aid national development. Our crew in Abuja visited the agency's office and had an exclusive interview with the Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer of the agency. Take a listen.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for deeming it fit or deeming me fit to be interviewed by your eminent self. I don't take it lightly. As you said, there are many different agencies, probably about 400 to 500 government agencies. So if I'm one of the chosen ones, it's a privilege. And similarly, it's a privilege to be also able to serve in this capacity, because when I first came here, I told the people that there are probably 20, 30 million Nigerians who could do this job. But God in his infinite wisdom through Mr. President has deemed it fit to appoint me. And so I don't take it lightly. I'm a lawyer with about 34 years of experience as a corporate commercial lawyer. And that's what I was doing before I came into this job. I've had the privilege of working in Nigeria and also in the US, where I did not just law as well, but also business consulting for US companies doing business in Africa. So to some extent, those few years that I spent as on a sabbatical from law have helped shape me. I'm a lawyer with a master's in law and also a postgraduate diploma in organizational leadership from prestigious Oxford University. And so coming into this position in October 2023 was a real eye-opener for me, because it was my first real substantial foray into government and seeing how government works from the inside. But when people ask me why I left corporate legal practice to come and do this position, I said, well, we can't all be critics of government. We must all roll up our sleeves. Nigeria belongs to all of us. We must all do our best to be able to contribute our quota and to see how we can help to transform things. We can't just sit and complain. We have to bring private sector practice and use public sector institutions to see how we can effect change. So that's why I'm here. Thank you. And like you said, we have a very robust law, piece of legislation that set us up in 1995, even though the commission itself didn't start full operations, I think, until 1999. Standing on the shoulders of people like Engineer Mustafa Bello, who is here, who is an institution in himself here, I think the core staff that were engaged from the beginning, they put a lot of effort into training them. Because, of course, investment promotion is not something that you go and study in university. It's something that you are trained to then, become an investment promotion officer. I guess to some extent there's a marketing angle as well. But I think he laid the foundation. He laid a very solid foundation in terms of the structure of the place and some of the pioneer staff. I'm grateful for him and those that have gone, that have come on since then. It did suffer some challenges because, of course, like some of the things that we have seen, some systems and processes became dated, and I don't think that the organization kept up as quickly and as rapidly as it should have done. So because times have changed and things have moved very rapidly. So human capacity development is something that's very important, and I think that as time has gone on, due to limited resources and perhaps not conflicting, but maybe diluted interest areas or government priorities, it suffered from some of those setbacks. But like I said, when the foundation is solid, it's very easy to build on it. And that's what I'm trying to do, to rebuild. So, like I said, when I started, when I collapsed my own boutique practice into this bigger law firm that has now grown into this Pan-African law firm, we had a vision where we were going to become the leading law firm across the continent. Okay, similarly, what I've done is I've transplanted those visions that I had and the methods that I used in building this law firm, I've transplanted them into this organization, which means that, first of all, you have to start with your people. If your people are not happy, if they're not properly remunerated, if they're not properly trained, if they're not, they cannot deliver your vision for you. Because if, for example, I use an analogy, if I'm an architect and I put up fancy designs and drawings and whatever, if I don't have the right builders, the right welders, that vision is only on paper. So human capacity development, training, welfare, very important. And that's what I started with, because I realized that there were people here who have institutional memory, who have capacity, but who may not necessarily have had the opportunity to be able to deliver. So working with those people, training up the younger ones who were not necessarily exposed to the same experiences as the older ones. So just trying to have this healthy mix, bringing in public service, institutional memory and processes with private practice, with my own experience from private practice, to have this healthy blend. So trying to professionalize the institution. Of course, like I said, growing a law firm, trying to make it a Pan-African law firm, there is absolutely no reason why the NIPC, being the investment promotion agency for the country, cannot be the leading investment promotion agency across the continent. Across the African continent. Nigeria has everything.
So, but where are we? Why is Nigeria?
We're not where we're supposed to be.
So which number are we?
I don't like to use numbers because
but where do you place this country so that we would see that, look, you are taking this institution from here to here.
Yeah.
And you are telling Nigerians, this is what I'm doing. And which is a very good news.
You know, thankfully, we have a clear, this administration has a clear agenda of what it's trying to achieve with the Renewed Hope agenda. So what we are doing is we are reconfiguring ourselves to tie into that agenda, because everything that the administration is doing is exactly what we want to be doing. So we, like I said, we have recalibrated. What do we need to do? We need to diversify the economy. We cannot continue relying on oil. We need to build human capacity. We need to generate employment. We need to industrialize. We need to feed ourselves. There is no reason why Nigeria cannot feed not just itself, but even the continent. We can even export to European countries and beyond. So it's all of the power. We need to increase our capacity, of course, focus on renewables, look at alternative power sources. So everything that the administration is doing is what we are now trying to do to recalibrate our thinking, to slot into those key sectors. But of course, with a lot of these things, is we have to rebuild the trust. And rebuilding the trust is not just internally in terms of our own people here and our own staff, rebuilding the trust with other MDAs. Because again, what has happened is that the institution has suffered some kind of, maybe neglect is the word that I should use, or we have been ignored, rightly or wrongly. Some of it self-inflicted, others because, you know, things have happened and they've moved quicker than we have moved. So it's rebuilding the trust, to get all the other MDAs for us to be able to collaborate, for us to realize that we are all mission aligned. We all should be working towards rebuilding this country. And so, of course, we cannot do it alone, which means that if another MDA goes out, meets a potential investor or is talking to a potential investor, they should work with us, because we have the capacity and the mandate, certainly, to be able to handhold, to convert announcements, to track, to make it easy and seamless for investors that are either coming in or those that are already in. So again, there's always this talk about foreign direct investment, but there are also domestic investors who have been here. Some are new, some are old, but we're also working very closely with them, because they also have to understand how government is now looking to assist them. And so we are always going out, talking to them, finding out where their pain points are, because they become our ambassadors. If they go out and they meet and somebody says, oh, what are you doing in Nigeria? And they say X, Y, Z, that's half my job done. Again, I don't really like to throw numbers around.
It's not, we're asking.
I think what we have done is we have seen. So, for example, one of the things that we do here is we administer what is known as the Pioneer Status Incentive, which often gets people misinterpret that and say, oh, they're just giving them tax waivers. But no, it's an incentive. It's an incentive that is supposed to encourage investors, because when you come and you set up, in most cases, you're doing some heavy lifting. Serious investors are doing heavy lifting. So government has, I think, but just about 99 areas where which are called pioneer status industries, that encourage certain aspects, certain business sectors, to give them a tax waiver for the initial 3 years and then subsequently another 2. And the whole idea is that they're supposed to be able to have these tax breaks so that they can reinvest, first so they can recoup some of their investment, and then to reinvest their savings into expanding their businesses. And what I can tell you is that we have seen an expansion. We have seen an expansion. I think in the last year alone, at least about 5,000 new jobs created, because we monitor very closely, because even when they come up for renewal, we have to monitor and see whether they have applied those savings like they should, like they're expected to. So they're expanding their plants, they're employing more people, and then, of course, the idea being that those people are paying taxes. The whole value chain grows as a result. So we've seen a huge increase in that. The other thing is that I always tell people that investment promotion is a whole of government approach. It's actually a whole of country approach. When people go out, how we sell ourselves, how we market ourselves, how we, and again, the domestic investors, how they themselves portray their own experiences. These are all aspects of investment promotion, but we are just one agency. But what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to track. We want to be able to receive. We want to be able to assist. We want to be able to convert all of these interests into actual investments. And like you said, retention. Retention is so important because now, again, the competition has grown. Many other countries are now trying to fill in those gaps where we have perhaps lagged. And so it's a very aggressive market out there. But again, I look at it like how I used to actively solicit for clients. So you go out, you do what you need to do, you go to the cocktail parties, you go to the investment forums, you go to round tables, you go to seminars, you go to conferences, and it's a constant marketing job. You're constantly selling this dream, this opportunity, which is Nigeria. And like I keep telling people, there's absolutely nothing that you want to do in Nigeria that cannot succeed. Yeah. Okay, so the first part of your question is who qualifies.
Yeah.
We have an extensive list, but I'll give you certain areas. So, for example, people doing companies doing renewables, companies in hospitality and tourism, because that's an area we're trying to expand in manufacturing, and what it is so they're categories, and then, but not every applicant will succeed because we have to actually see the level of your investment. There's a study that is done to see where if there are actual deficits in the economy. You'd be amazed that some things that the amount of things that we import. So where we see that somebody is coming to set up, for example, packaging is something that is very surprising. There are a lot of imports and packaging, but where we see that somebody is actually coming to set up. And let me just clarify that it's not just about theory. It has to be in practice. They have to have been in operation for almost a year. We have to see that they are in actual operations and that they've made the investments, which are checked against their capital importation and all that. It's a very intensive, very rigorous, very thorough process. And it's one that I'm actually very proud of myself. How do we measure? That's why I said we have constant monitoring, which is done on an annual basis. We also we have actually just engaged an independent study now, because it's something that wasn't done for a couple of years before I came, but an independent, objective audit to see the actual impact on the Nigerian economy. But what I can certainly tell you is that in terms of industrialization, job creation, employment, all of that we already see those the impact of those things that they have done. But because of course you cannot score yourself, it's always better to get an independent party to do it. And right now we've engaged an independent auditor to do that for us.
FDI.
I'm interested in
growth.
I'm interested in growing the Nigerian economy.
Yeah.
I'm interested in responsible, credible, sustainable, and inclusive investments. So in whatever shape or form they come in. And you know, there's this thing about charity begins at home. So if we don't support our own people, Sorry, I'm going to sneeze.
No problem, madam.
Excuse me. If we don't support our own people, like I said, it's very hard for outsiders to take us seriously. So we're focused on both. But one of the very interesting things that I noticed is that when we started going out and trying to engage local companies to see what challenges they have or opportunities, or even trying to matchmake them with the foreign investors that we come across, who sometimes will ask us, oh, I want to do this. Is there an industry that I can partner with? Is there an investor I can partner with, a local investor? When we started trying to engage these companies, the amount of suspicion and resistance and pushback that we got, just because there's just this distrust of government. They're like, no, you're a government agency, you're coming to tax us, you're coming to, we don't want to get on your radar, we don't want, so we face a lot of resistance. But so it's taken a while to be able to convince them that no, we're actually here, we're offering you a service, we want to know what you're doing, because if I go to an investment forum and somebody says to me, I'm looking to partner with somebody in rice milling, I'm not just going to look at a piece of paper or something from Google and say, oh yes, there's a rice milling plant here. I want to see it. I want to know that you're doing what you're doing. So that when I'm talking, or sometimes there are even opportunities from DFIs who want to support, who want to invest. But we like I said, there was a lot of pushback, but slowly I think, and they say, okay, well, how much is this going to cost us? And I'm like, nothing, this is a free service. We're government, we're here to support you, we're here to encourage you, we're here to help you grow. Okay.
I would like to hear that from you, madam.
I would like to give you those figures, but I'm also cautious. So what I can do for you is that I will come back to you with exact figures, because again, a lot of the things that we do need to be verified. So we work with CBN, we work with National Bureau of Statistics. To get data is something that is very important and should not be misquoted. Because it can be, yeah, depending. But I will come back to you with what I will call verified data and numbers.
That you have helped in.
Yes, from my pioneer status people, those figures from CBN verified, and MBS statistics. I can send that to you later. I don't want. I've talked about my people.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, this thing, I cannot run this race alone. I need the support of the people. So I want to build the capacity of my people. I want to improve their welfare. I want to train them. I also want to rebuild the trust that we have and the collaboration amongst the different MDAs. I want to strengthen our relationship with state investment promotion agencies, because of course there's this when investments come in, they're not going to sit in Abuja. They're going to go out to states. So we're working very actively with the state investment promotion agencies to strengthen the ones that need strengthening, to build this collaborative, this synergy, whereby we're able to direct investments to certain areas based on their competitive and their comparative advantage. So I think it's very important. So we've actually designed a program that helps them to replicate what we're doing here at headquarters. So I also want to, because again the world has gone digital, I want to sort of automate more of our processes, to digitize some of our process. We already have some, but they're still at the quite basic stages. I think it's very important that we do that. And then, just as importantly, just to I think to close this question out, is to rebuild the trust in Nigeria, to be able to get investors, whether they're domestic or foreign, to be able to subscribe to this Nigeria first. When you think of Africa, I want you to think of Nigeria first. We have the advantage of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement now, which means that when you look at Nigeria, you can't look at it as 250 million people. You have to look at it as a market to 1.4 billion. There's absolutely no reason why large industrialists and manufacturers cannot take advantage of this and set up and use Nigeria as their hub to penetrate the rest of Africa. Well, I mean, if you, I mean, everything that I've said now in this interview, yes. But if you think about it, it's so funny because I always used to tell them, and I think we have a banner upstairs that says, think investment, NIPC first, Nigeria first. We've always promoted that.
Yeah.
We've always, so when people come to me as investors and I entertain, I listen to everybody. But when I hear that their areas of interest are more like trade or cash and carry, I still give them the information that they need. But for me, it's always been about how do we grow this economy? And everything in this Nigeria First policy tallies. It aligns with exactly what we've been trying to do. Think about Nigeria First. Think about how you use this as a hub for your manufacturing, for your for setting up your industries, for using it as a gateway. So NIPC is a gateway to Nigeria. Nigeria is a gateway to Africa. It's very simple. And for us, Nigeria presents all the opportunities, and there's absolutely no reason why this Nigeria First policy shouldn't work. I mean, we as an agency, we don't necessarily do any procurements as such, but certainly what we do is with all our investors, we have always encouraged them to think locally. Backward integration, very important. So even when they set up, we say, okay, but you know that in another year or so, we expect you to do X, Y, Z, which is growing the local value chain. We're promoting an inclusive business policy because, again, they're small and medium enterprises that are often left out of this equation. But, they grow. With support, they can grow and they can be scaled up to be able to be feeders into some of these larger industries. So we've always promoted this Nigeria First policy.
Nigeria is at its turning point, from reform to recovery. On the 10th of July 2025, the 13th edition of the Business Day CEO Forum Nigeria gathers Nigeria's sharpest minds, business leaders, investors, and policymakers in one room to shape the future. Aliko Dangote, with the biggest conglomerate in West Africa, the Dangote Group, Harish Aswani of the Tolerant Group, Wale Edu, the Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Nigerian Economy, and many more reshaping Africa's leadership space will be there. The Business Day CEO Forum Nigeria 2025, from reform to recovery. Register now at www.ceoforum.businessday.ng.
Hello there, welcome to the Business Day exclusive. My name is Elizabeth Musa, and today I'm in conversations with Ms. Adaora Ayoade. She is the MD, CEO, and lead coach of EZ37 Solutions Limited, and she has over 30 years of diverse industry experience in HR and management consulting. She's a professional coach focusing on executive and strategic leadership. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Lizzie. Great to be here.
Awesome. Very lovely to be speaking to you today, and you look awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let me start by asking, how did you, find yourself in this field of, professional coaching, and what are some of the impacts that your time on this job, what are some of the impacts that you have recorded?
Interestingly, the way I found myself in this space was based on a request from a multinational client who recognized they had a need for coaching in their organization and reached out to me. And really that was where the journey started and my whole interest and passion in coaching began. Now, with regards to the impact of coaching and the achievements recorded in the many years that I've been in this space, I would say that I'm increasingly and really very grateful to Almighty God, because there have been so many numerous achievements along the way that I struggle to think of which one to actually name as the greatest achievement. From being the president of ICF Nigeria chapter. ICF is the International Coaching Federation, which is the leading and largest body of professional coaches globally. So from being the president of the Nigerian chapter to being the global co-leader for Europe, Middle East, and Africa for ICF education.
Fantastic.
Thank you. To being featured in Forbes, to having co-authored, the very first book on professional coaching in Nigeria, which is, coaching from the African perspective, to having received awards, leadership award, and most recently a coaching excellence award. There have been so many achievements, and even the testimonials I have received from numerous organizational leaders that I support, multinational organizational leaders, who talk about the impact that coaching has had, not just on their personal lives, but even contributing to the success of their professional lives and, towards the impact in their organizations. When they talk about how coaching has led to and contributed to success in their organizations and the ROI that they were expecting, having received that, it's really been huge achievements for me and very rewarding. I would really say that the greatest achievement would be serving as a CEO of EZ37 Solutions. We are one of two accredited organizations in Nigeria by the ICF. And so being able to support thousands of individuals all over the world to transform lives, to impact organizations really has been the greatest achievement. So really it's being the CEO of EZ37 Solutions and working with really incredible team members. That has been my greatest achievement.
Fantastic. So what role do you think that coaching plays in organizational and individual transformation in general?
So Lizzie, we're in a very fast-paced world. And, we really cannot bring the knowledge of yesterday to solve the ever-changing problems of today. And so for individuals, coaching unlocks their potential. It really helps them to have a growth mindset, to really, consider creative and innovative ways to find solutions to a number of challenges that they may be facing. Sometimes they have, obstacles they have to cross, and they're looking for ways to be able to do that. So coaching unlocks the potential of individuals, untapped potential. It unlocks that. And then for organizations, you find that, coaching really supports in improving performance. Organizations have goals that they want to achieve. And so coaching supports in enabling the achievement of those goals and creating a very enabling environment for people to really thrive and to feel engaged and to contribute towards the success of such organizations. So culture transformation, leadership transformation, clarity, change, courage. There's so many benefits that coaching provides for individuals and the organizations that they serve.
Yeah, fantastic. And but speaking of leadership transformation, what are some of the areas that you have seen in your time working as a professional coach? What are some of the areas that you've seen leaders lacking in?
So interestingly, self-awareness. Lizzie, a number of leaders are, they may feel, I know myself, so they may have the internal self-awareness, but the external self-awareness is lacking sometimes. So coaching really enables them to have a better perspective of how their behaviors are being viewed and, perceived and received. So I think self-awareness is a huge one. I think decision-making is another key one. You find that strategic leadership, being able to have that strategic mindset, is another area of need. And then, of course, emotional intelligence, Lizzie. Emotional intelligence. Sometimes you find that, people are dealing with things from different angles, and how do they navigate but still, maintain the front that enables people not to sort of run away from them because they feel this person is going to explode. So emotional intelligence and resilience. Yeah.
Awesome. So what areas do you say that individuals must pay more consideration to as they grow?
So individuals, generally, I would say there are a number of areas individuals should pay attention to, and some of which I've just spoken about, because we are all leaders in different capacities. We're all influencing individuals or organizations in one way or the other. So we need resilience. We need resilience. We need to have that change management mindset. We need to pay attention to having a growth mindset. We need to work on our emotional intelligence. We need to work on our critical thinking skills. And sometimes people have these blockers. Some people call it obstacles, things that get in the way. And coaching helps them to, in that safe, non-judgmental space, it enables them to look beyond those obstacles to identify solutions that they may not even have realized was within them. So, these are some of the areas that people, individuals, leaders should pay attention to.
Fantastic. So knowing full well about the importance of coaching and all of these things you've said, are there sectors in Nigeria that need urgent coaching attention?
That's an interesting one, Lizzie. I think I would say almost every sector in Nigeria could really benefit from, coaching and coaching interventions. In particular, sectors that there's a lot of high pressure, a lot of stress, there's a lot of, high targets to be met. Such sectors could actually really benefit from coaching because they're looking at ways to think creatively, to come up with novel and new ways to stay competitive. So you find sectors like finance sector, very fast paced. You have people having some targets and you're like, this is interesting. So financial sector, oil and gas, you have, telecommunications, FMCG, sectors where they really need leadership development. They need improved governance. They need effective policies and programs. So across various sectors, coaching is needed.
Good. So would you say Nigerians are engaging enough in the areas of coaching? And what would you say are some of the best practices that will make, Nigerians thrive when they adopt coaching? I don't know that generally people employ professional coaches. It seems to be like something that is very elitist, like, oh, have I finished eating and I want to employ a professional coach? So what would you say are some of the best practices that Nigerians can actually adopt in terms of engaging with professional coaching?
So I would say that, the awareness of coaching is growing in Nigeria. And I really want to applaud BusinessDay and, the efforts being made to create the awareness around coaching, because there's still a lot of room for people to recognize the transformational impact, the benefits of coaching. And when you say it seemed as elitist, there's a lot more democratization of coaching. People are embracing coaching at different levels of organizations, or even entrepreneurs, even individuals, not just businesses. I would say that I spoke about the International Coaching Federation earlier.
Yes, you did.
And they are the gold standard. Now, I am an ICF professionally credentialed coach, right? I'm certified by this gold standard. My organization is also certified. We're accredited by the International Coaching Federation. So really, when we're thinking about how does anybody ensure that the standard is maintained, is to engage with organizations like ourselves, EZA 37 Solutions, who have a promise to ensure that we consistently maintain, world-class standards and employ best practices in what we do when it comes to coaching. So we're offering coaching to organizations and individuals. We also offer pro bono coaching opportunities to organizations and individuals. So we're making it accessible. So when I talk about the democratization of coaching, it's real.
So finally, you've spoken about the work that EZ 37 Solutions is doing, which is amazing. So for someone who probably wants to venture into professional coaching, not just the people who want to use your services, what would you say are some of the traits they should see in themselves before they say, what, I think I should venture, I think I could reach out to EZ37 to coach me? What are some of the traits they should look out for?
Somebody who wants to be an agent of change.
Okay.
If you want to be an agent of change, if you want to make an impact in your world, if you truly want to show up as an authentic contributor to making the world a better place, that's what you need. We will then, being a coaching institution, we will then support with the skills, with the competences, with the mindsets, with the tools, everything that's needed. Having that passion, having that desire to be a change agent, to bring about sustainable change. And our world needs more change agents. So I think with that, you've got all you need to get started.
I think you've said it all. I mean, you literally just said just being the person who wants to be a change agent. And I think everyone should want to be a change agent. I want to be a change agent.
Beautiful.
I'm a change agent, so I think it's fantastic. I want to really commend you for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
And I hope that we keep seeing, this impact that you're making every day. We keep seeing it around our world, in Nigeria and even beyond. So well done, ma'am. And it's lovely talking to you.
Thank you, Lizzie. It's been a pleasure speaking to you too. Thank you. And I truly appreciate Business Day for creating this vibration around coaching. Thank you.
Absolutely. So there you have it. I've just had a very enlightening conversation with Mrs. Adaora Ayoade on professional coaching. It was indeed very remarkable. We hope you keep watching Business Day. We are on all social media platforms at Business Day NG. Thank you for watching. My name is Elizabeth Musa.
Welcome to the Business Day Future of Payment Conference 2025.
The Business Day Future of Payments Conference 2025 brought together fintech experts at the 4 Points by Sheraton in Lagos, Nigeria on the 30th of April. The conference themed Fintech Evolution, Contactless Payments as the gateway to seamless transactions, had many stakeholders and professionals present during the occasion. The welcome address was delivered by Zebulon Agommo, BD Sunday editor, on behalf of the publisher Mr. Frank Aibogun.
Today's theme, Fintech Evolution, Contactless Payments are the gateway to seamless transactions, speaks directly to the shift we are witnessing in the way people and businesses move money around. From the market stalls in Lagos to global e-commerce platforms, the demand for speed, safety, and simplicity is driving innovation like never before.
In the keynote address, Mr. Ugo Obasi, Executive Director at Afrigo, spoke on the history and evolution of contactless payments and its aim to strengthening the financial sector and economic growth.
Fraud has become a major concern globally. In our domestic market, lack of authentication for smaller transactions in contactless payments could raise additional concerns for users. So we hear stories of, when I tap my card on a machine, or somebody takes your card, or even you pass, and a reader or a device with a reader can take your money even in your pockets. So some of those things are myths that we have to address.
The Managing Director and CEO of RedTech Limited, Mr. Emmanuel Ojo, gave a presentation on future of payments and the changing role of technology in driving innovation.
There are predictions that in the continent, by year 2030, the growth of young Africans would have increased by 42%. And predictions have it that by year 2100, the growth would have increased by 181%. The reality is that digital payments are mostly powered by younger folks, because younger folks are more inquisitive and they have the tendency to like to drive innovation. So we believe that in the continent will significantly benefit from the youths going forward.
The program moved to a panel discussion on the next evolution of digital payments and contactless payments, with opportunities for questions and answers from the fintech experts.
Nigeria is a very peculiar market. Our current demographics, about 18 to 45, about 70% of our population lie between the ages of 18 and 45 years. So what that means is you're going to see a significant adoption of new and emerging technologies in this market, perhaps even more than any other market you look at in the Africa region, right? look at what's happening in crypto. Nigeria is the number 2 market globally, not in Africa, right? Globally, as it pertains with crypto adoption and utilizing it for payments. Only second to India, more than other Western nations and all of that. If and the same thing you get, even if it were to be with autonomous vehicles or self-driving vehicles, people will tell you the same thing, that are you sure we can trust it? But I disagree. I don't think that's the issue.
In 2023, CBN has issued the guidelines for contactless payments. In 2021, I think, or 2020, CBN also released a framework for QR code acceptance and payments. So what we need from a legal perspective, which we didn't used to have in relation to in the earlier days of fintech adoption and the uprise, we have that now for contactless. So I don't think that the issues, and if you listen to Mr. Ojo's presentation and Mr. Obasi, I don't really think the issues holding us back are legal or regulatory. I think the framework is there. It's for the market participants to now use them. I must appreciate the coordinator of today, Business Day. I salute them. It's obviously a recognizable brand in the media space. And also, I must also appreciate all of the participants, particularly the representative of the MD of the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, the Mr. Premier Oiwo, represented by Ugo, the speaker before me, who was able to give us the journey so far in terms of digital payments and the evolution of the digital innovation products in Nigeria. I was able to also leverage some of the information shared in his presentation to also let us know that it's a gradual progress that we're going to realize in contactless payment. Based on the persona of consumers, essentially, they tend to react to change. This is expected. So it's going to be, the progress in contactless payment is going to be gradual. As I mentioned, it might be best to look for a niche in deploying contactless payments. And that niche essentially would ensure that maximum security experience, whereby even if your credentials has been compromised as a consumer or infringed upon, your funds can still be recovered. That will boost confidence before exposing contactless to other means whereby it is of a higher risk. That would be my personal advice to the industry.
A couple of things. First is we can no longer shy away from technology. It's a must. So what we need to do is to prepare, put our hearts in order, and be able to compete and ensure that technology is enhancing human behavior, is enhancing services, and of course, is improving our communication and engagement with business and the consumers of business. That's one. Two is that we have to realize that as a society, it as government or private sector, we need to look at how we can constantly improve the use of this technology. We can't shy away from it anymore. There's just no way we can run away. And so we have to embrace it, we have to prepare to adopt it, and we have to equip ourselves to be able to respond efficiently and effectively to the demands of technology. Those are the two things that I've taken away from here. And we are ready, the market is ready, the market is huge, and there are people here locally who are able to support the demands of this technology and the demands of service to ensure customers are receiving good experiences, and businesses are growing, and the economy is growing, and everybody is good for it.
So like I said before, collaboration, more user education is needed. More support is needed from an infrastructural point of view. And basically having events like this, basically is pushing more awareness out there of what we can do and of what is expected of us to do in the ecosystem.
There've been a lot I've learned, but my major takeaway is, I've been exposed to a lot of things regarding future of payments in Nigeria. Also I'm currently, building a business, a startup, and I've gotten an insight that can actually add on to my own startup that will actually help me thrive in my own industry.
The event ended on a high note with closing remarks from the Business Day Sunday editor, Sebulon Agomo. Norma Obuna, reporting for Business Day Television.
Good morning and welcome to the BDTV Breakfast Show. I am Bethel Obajabi.
My name is Elizabeth Musa.
And this is the social listening segment on the BDTV Breakfast Show.
We're talking about the Fly Nigeria Act. Can you give us a background into what this is about?
We are here today on the streets of Lagos, Nigeria, to gather opinion about a pressing issue.
I go look at the cost of petrol. We get very Nigeria with the suffer.
The income is not really increasing, but the prices of items are increased. Nothing like service again. No. You only pray for that money to reach you that month.
There's a lot of high pressure, a lot of stress. There's a lot of high targets to be met.
I was quite strict. In my mind, I said, looking for my hand, my picking go spoil.
To allow all banks and all the players in the space.
15% inflation target achievable in 2025.
The command and vision philosophy of both the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, and indeed all the service chiefs.
Two years is not too early to campaign. People just say that.
I want my children to be great.
Transportation is killing almost every one of us in Nigeria.
There is no profit in business again.
Tinubu is not the cause of Nigeria's suffering.
I did not vote for Tinubu, I will not lie.
I heard about the student loan, but I was told it was not real.
Many have weighed in their opinions on the issues surrounding the 2 years so far with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. How far has it been? It has been 2 years. And so, we decided to get out there on the streets to talk to market women, talk to students, and also speak to some professionals who understand what leadership is. And my team, of course, had all that time that they needed. But more importantly, the question is, so far, are we feeling the brunt or are we enjoying the leadership? All these questions need to be asked so we know exactly where we are as a country. So this is how far, so far on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's leadership in Nigeria. So let's take a look and see what we had to gather. We'll be right back.
That would preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So, help me God.
2 years ago, a promise of renewed hope, Bola Ahmed Tinubu stepped into Nigeria's highest office. He inherited a nation's yearning for change, grappling with complex changes and challenges. Well, today, as his administration marked its second anniversary, we asked the question, so far, and how far has Nigeria come? From bustling markets to quiet neighborhoods, the heart of Nigeria beats with a mix of expectations and experiences. So we spoke with ordinary Nigerians from the marketplace.
I will tell you to go and check all these products. All these local made, they're supposed to reduce the price. They should check where they are producing it. If it is stores that are taxing them, that is making everything to cost, they should know how to do it because all these local made supposed to benefit us. It's not important now. Why are they suffering us? Look at, you cannot, if you want to buy biscuits and before you buy this one, they will give you another one. Without that one, they will not allow you to buy your right one. Everything is just upside down. Tinubu should make things good for us. He should visit all this, especially these local goods. Because the way the thing is coming out now, we are just like selling for them. There's no profit.
I did it for Tinubu. Tinubu is not the cause of Nigeria's suffering, to my own perception. Because if you look it from the critical view, Nigeria has been corrupted before Tinubu climbed the seat, to my own view. Though I'm jobless for now, but it's not Tinubu's fault. This is my 14 years of graduating, but I didn't regret it. Under Lagos State, during the Tinubu regime, I've acquired many skills under his regime.
I stay in Surulere. So in the morning, my husband will come and drop me.
he will come and drop me here. My going home with my son, I spend, if I do Aroro, I will spend 2,000. If I do not do Aroro, I will spend like 2,200 or 2,400. When I'm very small, it's our father that go out to go and hustle. But now we women, what we are doing now, we're doing many things. We are more than men now in the house. We are the men in the house now. I want my children to be great.
To schools and universities, and of course some students, and their voices painted a vivid picture.
The impact of Tinubu for the 2 years that he's on the as the president of Nigeria, and also for the economy also, sir. From my place to my school here, because I live at Ibejuleki, so me coming here, I spent 5,000 naira for transport fare. If I'm also going back home, I spend 5,000 naira, making 10,000 naira. So for this month alone, I've been spending 40,000 naira on only transport fare alone. Transportation is killing almost every one of us in Nigeria. If I'm coming to the school, I have to do what? I have to eat. Let's say I estimate myself for the food. I eat, let's say 1,000. So it's a lot. I heard about the student loan that we can actually take a loan that when we want to fill the form, they will ask for the name of the school and everything, and also the account of the school. They will deposit the money into the account of the school. That after we graduated from the school, they will be deducting the money from our salary. But I've not been benefited from the loan.
I've affected negatively because it's first time with my parents. So whatever affects my parents will affect me. It has not been easy to support my education. They should just consider us more on their plans and anything they want to do. They should consider the students. Like I had to come here from Badagry because my study center at Badagry does not have a lab for our practicals. So I had to come all the way from Badagry here to find a place to stay and all of that. It has been very risky and not easy. I've heard about the student loan, but I was told it was not real.
For some, the fuel subsidy removal and rising cost of living have brought significant hardship, while for others, they acknowledged that tough decisions holding on to hope for long-term gains was necessary. But again, insecurity remains a deep concern for many. Even as the government reports progress, it's a daily balance between struggling and resilience for Nigerians. So to understand the strategic shift, Elizabeth and I from BDTV News turned to Professor Anthony Killer, who is the director of CIAPS, a leading strategist in governance and policy making. He highlights the administration's bold reform, like the exchange rate unification aimed at fiscal stability and attracting investment, which was not bad. But again, while these moves are made, the administration undoubtedly has caused immediate economic pain, particularly with inflation.
I am one of those people, the few of us left, that do not agree that removing fuel subsidy was a good idea.
Fuel subsidy is gone.
A lot of people agree that it's a good idea, including those of us who were against it before. All of a sudden they agree, let history and their conscience judge them. Because when some of us were against it, it wasn't personal, it wasn't political, it was pure economics. Why am I against removal of fuel subsidy? Because I know as a trained economist, and I want to underline that, when you remove fuel subsidy from a system like Nigeria, I was against it under Jonathan because I said it will increase the price of transportation, it will increase the price of food, it will create poverty. And that is exactly what has happened now. If you say to me that you have to remove fuel subsidy, you have to tell me two things. One, why do you want to remove it? And two, what are you going to do with the removal? If you're removing it because people are corrupt, then gather the corrupt people together and jail them or stop them from being corrupt. The people involved in the corruption of fuel subsidy are less than 2,000. So because of 2,000 people, you're going to make 200 million people suffer. That does not make sense the way I was brought up. But there's something very wrong about that, and it needs to be said.
Professor Anthony Killer also went on to point out some key areas where Tinubu's administration and style has affected the nation, but the challenge still lies in translating these policies into tangible improvements for every citizen of Nigeria.
I think so far the government is very high on intentions and politics, but rather low on governance.
Okay.
And I say this because I use three elements, three criteria. What did they meet there? What did they promise? And what do we expect from them? When they were going to government, what the promise was lower prices, more food, more employment, a better Nigeria. For any reason in the world, that is, by the way, so far so bad because the cost of energy has gone up, the cost of electricity has gone up, prices of food have gone up.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know, maybe they're building the house, maybe it will be better, but in the meantime, it is rough for people, and it must be said, because if it is not said, government might get a wrong impression. Whether they are doing it for our own good. They celebrate reforms. Technically, I can see some of these reforms. I disagree with some of these reforms. I think we're halftime now. At halftime, government should be saying, I have done this, not I am going to do. I call it governance by tenses. By halftime, government should be using past tense, not future tense. So they shouldn't be saying what they're doing or what they plan to do. I think that's not good for Nigeria. And because I'm not a partisan politician, I still hope that, they do something very quickly to improve the situation. But generally, the situation is bad. If you're in a country where the bag of rice is more than the salary
Of the average earner.
Nigerian, that's not a good place to be.
So it is no news that President Tinubu's first 2 years have been marked by often difficult decisions to spark growth and changes in our economy. But again, is Nigeria now on a better trajectory? That's the question mark. And the path ahead is still unfolding, for sure, but fraught with both promises and ongoing hurdles. We ask again, so far, as the nation moves forward, should the ultimate measure of his leadership so far be focused on how swiftly and equitably the benefits of renewed hope is touching Nigerians in different ways? If at all, has it truly reached the homes and lives of all Nigerians? Well, the journey continues. And so you heard everyone's opinion, from students to market women. You heard them rant over how they've gone through a lot and how it's difficult for them to be able to come to work or go to marketplace, even be able to get to lectures on time. Does this mean that Nigerians are going through a lot? Does it mean that the fuel subsidy removal affected the nation in a very, negative manner or otherwise? Now, we also heard Professor Anthony Killer being interviewed by Elizabeth, and you heard all he had to say. As a professional, he weighed in. But looking at the streets right now, as people begin to say, people are still buying fuel at exorbitant prices, but they have the money to buy this fuel. So the question is, 2 years has come and has gone. Are we moving forward or are we regressing? You decide. Has the 2 years of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu favored you or not? A big question that needs big answers. My name is Onika Valentine, BDTV. Until some other time, let's keep hoping.
The current incentives we have, the major one is the Pioneer Status Incentive. And it has played its role in trying to encourage investment in areas like cement manufacturing. We've also seen food and beverages. We've seen real estate. But we're also at a point, as well as telecommunications. So we're at a point where it's always time for you to take a step back and do a review. These current incentives were introduced decades ago. We had some incentives that were introduced to address reconstruction after the Civil War. But the world is moving in a different direction. So that is why in the tax reform bills, we are recommending the priority sector incentives. So first, critical sectors are included. The focus is mostly on manufacturing, very limited focus on services like business process outsourcing, shared services. Other than that, the rest of it is manufacturing, from energy, including renewable energy equipment, to agriculture and food, to areas to even do with education and health are covered. So expectation is that this will bring clarity as to who is eligible, how much investment must you make as a minimum investment, for how long would this incentive period last for every sector. In terms of sunset, provisions are also covered. So overall, this is more suitable to our economic development going forward than we have had in the past. And I think, we can't control what other countries do. So the responsibility we have as a country is to always look at how our policies and the policies of other countries interact and look for areas of opportunities for our country. And if there are risks, how can those risks be managed? We already know that the bulk of what we export to the US is crude oil, refined products, gas, and those are exempted. So whatever impact we have that is direct is currently being looked into by the government. And the ones that are indirect impacts, including the price of oil and all of that, are also being currently analyzed. So I won't be able to give you any more specifics than that. But as a country, those are issues that are under consideration. Of course, there was a rebasing of the CPI basket, and that led to a reduction from over 30 to a little over 20%, 24. So, but the factors that play into inflation are dynamic. Also bear in mind that when you do inflation calculation, it's year on year. So the ordinary person will go to the market the last time. When they go the next time, they compare the two prices. That's their own inflation. But for government, they compare 1 year to a previous base last year. So that means, first and foremost, people need to understand it from that point of view. The major factors fueling inflation last year were the subsidy removal and exchange rate. So while we cannot predict what will happen in the environment this year, particularly with the tariffs and the other dynamics around the world, I think the expectation is that you will not have inflation as worse or as bad as it was in 2024.
Well, it's not a yes and it's not a no question. And I will say that for these reasons. When lawmakers make policies, when they make laws for humans and businesses, it is in the light of the current circumstances at that time. And over time, those circumstances may change, and as a result, making those policies not to be fit for purpose at that particular time. A good example is the principle of permanent establishment. Permanent establishment is a connecting factor for taxation all over the world, in Nigeria and all over the world. Now, connecting factor in 1960 is no longer the connecting factor for the purpose of determining permanent establishment, because we are now in the digital space where a business may not need to be in Nigeria to derive profits from Nigeria. And as a result of that, policy direction all over the world has been changing. We'll see the OECD bringing directives, coming up with policies to guide countries in tax administration. And Nigeria too has not been left behind. In the past few years, we've also been trying to redirect our tax policy, tax administration, in such a manner that transcend to the current realities, in Nigeria and globally. So there could be a mismatch, but usually the mismatch is for a period of time, and government definitely, in making policies, legislatures in enacting laws, will catch up with the realities of time. So the major takeaway for me is that times will definitely change and change again. We are in the regime of the new tax bill, which may be signed to law in the next few weeks, few months. And as such, businesses must brace up to these realities. They must recheck their workings and ensure that their businesses are being managed such that they get the best of these bills and the laws as it may at that point in time.
Please allow me to welcome you all to this policy roundtable organized by Business Day. We brought you all here today to spotlight the overlooked potential of tax incentives as catalysts for sustainable development.
Business Day Media hosted a policy intervention roundtable on harnessing tax incentives for growth in Nigeria's priority sectors. The conference united legal experts, tax authorities, policymakers, and industry leaders to discuss effective structuring and alignment of tax incentives with Nigeria's economic goals. The publisher of Business Day, Mr. Frank Ibogun, delivered a welcome address speaking to the theme of the occasion.
One thing that excites me about where we are is that this is the first time in Nigeria that we have had a national conversation around taxation. The very first time. You might say it's late, but as they say, better late than never.
As the event proceeded, the keynote address was delivered by Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, who made emphasis on the tax reforms and spoke about the Economic Development Initiative Scheme.
You could count on one finger, fingertips of one hand, the issues that have been mostly debated. And I always like to remind people that we're talking about a transformative reform where we've taken more than 15 different tax laws and compressed them into 4. They have over 400 pages, more than 200 provisions. Many of them are new. So it's important that we pay attention to those very important changes because they will affect us. And the other point is there are loads of opportunities that will be presented by those changes. But you will not be able to take advantage of the opportunities if you are not prepared for them, or worse still, if you are not even aware of them.
The conference featured an informative panel session with an array of reputable speakers.
Looking at the bill as it is, it's quite simple. And, I was talking about the provisions of probably I've not read it very well, but, you wouldn't know the name of a child more than the man who has named the child. And so I would defer to Mr. Taiwo Oyedele. But I've looked at the provisions of, or the provision of the tax bill in relation to that priority incentive. And I see a provision that says that it is subject to the provision, I think about section 58 that talks about the effective tax rate. But be that as it may, it is clear that no matter how stylish the legislators may have drafted a law, there will still be need for improvement. By the time this bill is being implemented, you will start seeing issues.
We have some incentives in our tax system today, like the reconstruction investment incentive was meant to be after the Civil War to reconstruct Nigeria. So we're not the most diligent lawmaking, policy formulating nation in the world. Once you discuss it and debate it, you can leave it for another. So we saw some of the things we saw was in the oil and gas sector, where we lost, and I mean literally billions of dollars, because somebody didn't know that oil price was going to hit $20 per barrel, $20 per barrel. And there was supposed to be a trigger of revision when it hits $20 per barrel. And oil hit 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. We did nothing, absolutely nothing. We lost more than $10 billion. So we think that it's better to put a sunset. By the time you are getting close to that sunset, if we agree that this sector is still a priority, it takes less effort. Because at that point in time, those who want it to be priority will put the pressure to get the amendment done. Whereas if it's no longer priority and there's no sunset, everybody will continue to just enjoy it. And then we say tax revenue is going down, we'll start printing naira again. So that was the thinking behind the way it's been designed. And like I said, the powers to do that is with Mr. President.
The roundtable was able to address public perception to taxes and strategies being set up to spread awareness about tax bills and incentives for the grassroots. Some of the speakers and attendees present also shared key insights gained from the event.
And I think, we can't control what other countries do. So the responsibility we have as a country is to always look at how our policies and the policies of other countries interact and look for areas of opportunities for our country. And if there are risks, how can those risks be managed? We already know that the bulk of what we export to the US is crude oil, refined products, gas, and those are exempted. So whatever impact we have that is direct is currently being looked into by the government. And the ones that are indirect impacts, including the price of oil and all of that, are also being currently analyzed. So I won't be able to give you any more specifics than that. But as a country, those are issues that are under consideration.
So the major takeaway for me is that times will definitely change and change again. We are in the regime of the new tax bill, which may be signed to law in the next few weeks, few months. And as such, businesses must brace up to these realities. They must recheck their workings and ensure that their businesses are being managed such that they get the best of these bills and the laws as it may at that point in time.
In closing, the deputy editor of BusinessDay, Ololade Akimurele, reflected on the theme and conversations from the conference, thanking all panelists and guests for their presence.
Thank you so much for taking our time to join us here today. I hope you enjoyed the conversations that we had this morning. And I imagine that we'll be leaving here with the full knowledge that the tax reform bills is much more than just VAT sharing formula or arrangement amongst the states. It was really exciting for me, and I'm sure it was the same for you. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you so much to our partners as well, Onaliwun Ajayi. I do hope to see you next time we call on you to be here. Thank you so much.
I am, of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
BusinessDay is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, BusinessDay has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. Our premium offerings are further enriched with syndicated content from esteemed sources like the Financial Times, The Economist, and the Harvard Business Review. At BusinessDay, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications.
For being consistent in organizing these CEO forums for almost the last 14 years, I think this is worth commendation. and I think something that will encourage them to continue.
From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, Business Day fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement.
And welcome to the BDTV Breakfast Show. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Thank you for joining us on a lovely Monday morning. I'm here alongside
Onyeka Valentine, like we always do. Elizabeth, how was the weekend?
Good to see you. My weekend was good. It was a little bit, just it had interesting times. But I mean, we have to go on a quick break now. We'll be right back. Good morning and welcome to the BDTV Breakfast Show. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Thank you for joining us on a very lovely Monday morning here in Lagos City. I'm here alongside
Onyeka Valentine. Elizabeth, what do we have?
Let's start by asking how was your weekend? Because my weekend was
I'll try to be prolific.
My weekend was good. How was yours?
Well, if I say great, will I be lying? I'll just say fine, because seeing what's happening in newspapers.
That's the Nigerian answer, just the generic Nigerian answer. It was fine.
Well, we are alive.
And we're kicking.
And we're kicking. But we'll find out why we are kicking and why we are alive when we're supposed to be thriving after being alive.
I think kicking is a good place to start for me. If you're if anyone tells me you're kicking, and it's a good. If I tell you I'm kicking, trust me, I'm good to go. If I tell you I'm surviving, then you should be worried.
But if you tell me you're thriving, I will be jubilated.
I know.
But are we thriving now?
Kicking is a good place to start.
All right, let's start with
kicking. Let's kick it with the Business Day paper this morning. Now, the big story in the Business Day paper this morning says, investors come calling on Naira's positive outlook. You see why I said we're kicking? Because it's looking good. If investors are coming because they are seeing the positivity or the positive outlook of Naira, then that's a good place to start. And then there's another story here on the Business Day paper today. It says fiscal deficit surges 75% under Tinubu despite revenue gains. And then on the top left-hand side, it says inside Nigeria's $1.3 billion potato industry. That's more like an expose done by Faith Donatus. But let's start with the big story here. If investors are calling on Naira's positive outlook, then like I said, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. What are your thoughts?
So I mean, if so far we can capture the eyes of investors, which means we're actually kicking, like you said. So let's don't throw the bathwater and the baby away. Let us look at the brighter side. If investors are coming, the question is, what are they dealing with? Is it going to favor the nation? Or are we going to find ourselves in the point where we'll put in so much money or take so much money from investors and the investment itself will be lacking behind? Remember, right? we do have a weaker link, and that weaker link needs to be brought to the foreground to say, this is the problem why initial investments go halfway and they fail. A good example is, what's going on with our agricultural sector, what's going on with our power sector. We moved from up NEPA back in the days, right, to having PHCN.
PHCN, yes.
Okay, and then other power distribution companies, give birth to from that angle. And so the question is, a lot of investment has gone into those areas. Are we seeing the dividends? Are we seeing the, are we having 24 hours power supply? If not, then do we go back to history and now say, do we now work on other areas that's supposed to give us that, amount of megawatts that we need, or generate enough power supply without it, failing or having issues? If we look at that, then we'll now ask ourselves a question. If these investors are coming in, of course, no investor wants to come and put in money that they will not make their money back in return. It's all about ROI, isn't it so? And so if ROI is the major target, the question is, do we have the facility on ground to enable these investors actually atone for them?
Right now, it's not much about the return on investment, very good, but I think it's really about the stability of the Naira right now, because like you see in the story that we have inside, it says that the Naira gained 16.3 against the US dollar, and that was in May, and it's set to maintain a stable trajectory this month. That's the month of June. And then we're also seeing that investors are excited about capital inflows into the economy, jumping from 0.3 billion naira in January 2024 to 2.6 billion naira in January 2025. That's a good thing. And then we're talking about a little bit of, you had mentioned investment. What kind of investment are they going to do? So we're seeing also that Nigeria has attracted a $600 million lithium processing plant near the Kaduna, Niger border this year. So that's also some sort of good news. Now we're talking about Naira-based investment. The West African segment of the 21st AVCA conference held recently in Lagos, blah, 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 noted that the dollar-based financing is increasingly unsustainable amid ongoing devaluations across Africa. The investors also noted that returns on dollar-denominated funds have eroded due to currency losses. Also highlighting that funds raised in Naira are more likely to return 10 times more.
More likely is the word.
Yeah, 10 times more in a couple of years than those generated in dollars. So all of these factors are sort of influencing investors coming into, that's definitely giving a positive outlook to the Naira. And then we're seeing also Naira's journey in 2015, that Naira's journey in 2025 has been mixed. After beginning the year on a strong note, came later under significant pressure, blah, blah, blah. Broader comparison from 2024 to 2025 shows that it's a little bit stable. We've been talking about the Naira rally since the start of the year. Naira is undervalued. Cardoso has maintained that Naira is undervalued, and we believe that Naira is, according to him, quote, we believe that the Naira is undervalued. He said this early last year, and coupled with coordinated measures on the fiscal side, we will expedite genuine price discovery in the near term. So I think it's all about the work. The Naira is doing the work, I would say. The Naira is doing the work for itself, under the leadership also of President, CBN Governor Olayemi Cardoso is also really doing an excellent job in terms of just making sure that the rates and all of these things that affect the Naira are they have a positive outlook. So I would say that for me, I think this is a good time to invest in Nigeria.
So I mean, there's something you mentioned there. You mentioned lithium, right?
Lithium, yes.
Lithium, I beg your pardon. The truth of the matter is this. You see, they say that there is no fire without smoke, or is it that there's no smoke without fire?
No smoke without fire.
Exactly. So the truth of the matter is, these people have seen, wait a minute, the world is moving away from fossil fuel now. I mean, there's been a big cry about, global warming and every other thing. And so they're thinking, now that Nigeria has lithium, am I pronouncing that word properly?
Lithium, yes.
We do have it in quantum now. It has just been discovered that we have a lot of it. Remember, electric vehicles, right, depend on it. Remember, there are other devices that depend on this lithium that we're talking about. So if that be the case, investors have seen a big market there.
There's a huge market there.
And so the question now is, will we feel that economic boom? If so, would that also help us to enjoy the naira even more by the naira gaining more ground. I also saw that you mentioned we gained a bit of ground, but now we have this rare earth mineral resource or whatever you want to call it. I think this is the time for our economists and those who understand how to manipulate this business to give us ground. Let us gain ground. Let the naira gain ground, because naira isn't doing too well.
No, I think it is.
How many units?
I think it is from what we just read.
From that indices, okay.
Starting from January,
but
the naira has been rallying.
Even at that, knowing where we're coming from, right? I mean, we saw what happened when they said we had paid up our debt. All of a sudden, we go out borrowing again. So if this naira is coming up, I hope it's not on life support, where we will gain ground. At some point, we depreciate again.
I understand.
That's why I said I hope so.
I get that.
And if I'm being proven wrong, right, and the naira keeps rising steadily, then wow, all good. But if it's on life support, well, let's hope the pause doesn't just go off and it's a flat line.
Let's hope so too. Still speaking about some things, we've talked about monetary policy and all of that. Let's talk about fiscal deficit surging to 75% under Tinubu despite revenue gains. And that's what we're seeing. The first 18 months of President Bola Tinubu's administration, the federal government fiscal deficit grew to 22.3 trillion. And this marks a 74.6% increase from the 12.8 trillion deficit recorded between July 2022 and December 2023, which was under President Muhammadu Buhari's regime. And then I said regime because I don't know, administration. Now, a fiscal deficit occurs when government expenditure exceeds its revenue. So that's not looking good, if you ask me, because if our expenditure is exceeding the revenue that we're able to generate, and I mean, as we know right now, we know that Lagos is the biggest driver of revenue right now. I mean, amongst all the other states in Nigeria, we know that Lagos. So can the other states depend on? It's like this person is the one pulling all the weight, and then the other people are just generating little. So if all the other states can pull their weight, then I think that we might be saying something different there. But I mean, we're not going to be talking about government expenditure exceeding revenues, because then all the other states, because it's not one person to do all of the work.
I mean, just to add value to what you've said, I think when we stop giving the child lollipop, that's when we start understanding the child might just have some inbuilt talent. This FAAC thing, which is the fact that there's been given out, as allocation, has, quote and unquote, made some states lazy. Yes, I said it, they're lazy. You see, giving them handouts and giving them lollipop every now and then, and they run up to federal government whenever they're in crisis, has made them lazy. Opportunities are not being seen. But from what you said now, right, if states could look deep in and then look for ways to generate internal funds, just the way Lagos has done. Why is everyone? Why do we have in what's called people from other states coming to Lagos State? Because they've seen that Lagos State is working. The internally generated funds is being put into good use one way or the other. I'm not making a case for Lagos State government. I'm just saying, for what it's worth. When you see something good, you talk about it. But if you see the ones that's not going well, we'll talk about it. That is how it is. But having said so, I believe that other states should look deep in and begin to say, how do we generate funds more than what we have? If they are already, how do we increase those funds? How do we make sure that we don't rely 100% on federal government allocation? After all, this oil we're busy climbing over will finish one day. But again, thank God we now have, there's a new discovery of lithium, and hopefully it will up our economy. So that's what I think.
I think let me just note something just for our viewers there. It says the improvement was attributed to revenue gains from foreign exchange reforms, stronger tax administration, and increased transparency in the remittances of government-owned enterprises and MDAs. However, the bank also noted a rise in expenditures due to, I just wanted to note why the bank said that, I mean, there's been a rise in expenditures. It says due to wage increases and new initiatives like the the presidential metering project. And unlike his predecessor, Tinubu has not resorted to ways and means, which we know is always like a way for them to get some money. He hasn't resorted to ways and means financing to fund his deficit, which I think would have been an easier way for him to fund this budget deficit we're talking about. So I think that's good news if you ask me, because if it's not resorting to ways and means, then is looking for. I mean, you had mentioned the fact that we were talking about. I think we were borrowing, right? So maybe he's now he's resorting to borrowing instead of making use of ways and means, which someone else might condemn as not a smart move. So I think it's just about whoever it is that's running things at a certain time and how they choose to do what they're doing.
You know, again, like I said, when you see something good going on, you give, kudos. When something's not going right, you talk about it. In this case, if we have to borrow to make the economy better, like I said before, and we can account for the money being borrowed that is not going to go into private pockets, or some project will come and not get finished and we'll see the light of the day.
Because I don't, there's no administration, there's no government, there's no country that can do without borrowing.
That's what I'm saying. So if it's going to be used properly, good and fine. But if there are some people out there willing to wail on it and pocket and sit on it, then we need to have a microscope on that matter.
Who's going to put their microscope on that matter? Now maybe it's you, Valentine.
That's why we're in the media. Talk about it.
We have to talk about it. We have to keep highlighting this conversation.
The Guardian,
Let's see what we have on the Guardian this morning. Guardian newspaper this morning. 2027, opposition coalition shops for candidates as APC mocks effort. And this continues on page 6 of the Guardian paper. I like the spread on Guardian this morning. And then there's a story, the panorama on page 2. It says Saudi Arabia evict 205,000 unauthorized pilgrims from Mecca. Now on page 3 it says Forum appeals for relocation of Giwa barracks as IEDs kill 9 in Borno State. And then on page 30 of the Guardian,
I hate to pause you sometimes, but when I think about the fact that in this present time, right, we are still waiting for a calamity, waiting for something to happen, so they end up being statistics, right? When we can prevent this thing, it's so saddening and it's hurting. Why? All these security votes, what are they meant for? If someone is somewhere or the other, right, putting our boys in the wrong place instead of them being where they're supposed to be to fight this crime, let's talk about it. I mean, you cannot have the government spending billions, trillions in making sure we fortify the military, fortify the armed forces, and then we hear things like that. Which means there's something that is not correct. Is someone busy somewhere causing more havoc? If so be the case, how do we tackle these things? Are we saying, let us weigh the odds and say, okay, no, this one is light, let's leave this one. Let us sacrifice this one. Let us go for the bigger ones. All lives are precious. Even the army says so. All lives are precious. So hearing these kind of stories, it's just saddening, but again, what can we say?
And let's still look at what we have on the Guardian paper this morning. There's another story here on the Guardian paper this morning. It says, economy not in crisis, says the presidency, as Afenifere rates Tinubu low. I mean, this is off the back of, the 2 years in office of the president, President Bola Tinubu.
And we have a package for
which
that,
he had, we'll come to that, which he did mention. I think he did rate himself 100% or something. He did rate himself well. I mean, we also look at the cartoon of the day. I think our cartoon of today is also very interesting. So our viewers should watch out for that. But while the Afenifere, they're rating President Tinubu low, the presidency is saying no, economy is not in crisis. So they're saying no, you are wrong. We stand for what it is that we are saying. Do they know something that we don't know? I mean, it's quite contrasting if you ask me. And then there's this other story on the page 30 of the Guardian. It says Arewa grieves over Niger flood disaster and Kano accident. And I do hope that very soon, sometime soon, we would look at the front pages of the newspaper and we're not talking about death here and there. I think BusinessDay tries to just avoid that by just focusing on things in the economy. But you look at the papers every day. I'm sure when we check out the Vanguard, we're also going to see something about, and it's how it has been normalized. Like, you know, back in the day, you see death, and then people are really
and you cringe.
talking. People are, it's a big deal. But it's like now, you just sit on the front page and you keep moving like it doesn't affect me, but it does affect us. There's another story. It says mother allegedly hires thugs to beat vice principal for confiscating son's phone during WASE. And this is the conversation that's also been on social media about, you know, the WASE, the whole WAEC examination. Some people were talking about the fact that students had to write exams by 8 p.m. in the night. Why do you have to write exams by 8 p.m. in the night? I wrote my exams by, I think it was in the 12 noon back in the day. But now we're talking about people writing exams. Like, what is going on with the entire administration? These are conversations that we certainly should have. And then there's also subscribers lamenting as fiber cuts disrupt services nationwide. I'm sure, I don't know if you had to experience any of those fiber cuts, but I didn't really see that. Then we talk about ECOWAS at 50, a legacy at crossroads. I don't want to talk about what this ECOWAS at 50 caused last week, you know, the traffic and all of those things that we had to deal with. But it's good. ECOWAS and 50, that's a big, huge legacy if you ask me. But that's an editorial, and that continues on page 12 of the the Guardian newspaper. Which of these stories do you want to take a look at?
So, I mean, I would like us to talk about the issue of the thugs that were hired by a parent, you know, to beat up the principal. As much as we don't want to begin to sound, you know, as if we have something against the parent, but truth be told, if you lose confidence in a system, do you know what that means? It means the idea of you taking laws into your hands, right, will be swept under the rug. Now, there's no excuse, mark my words, there's no excuse for wanting to cheat. I'm not making a case for that. But let's look at it from a different angle. Why would the parent hire thugs? Which means that it could be, again, alleged. It could be there's something going on in that school that we don't know about. Because, I mean, if they had never recorded anything that has to do with cheating or malpractice before, surely, I don't think that parents would want to say, no, my own child too was part of this thing. So why are you stopping my child from using his or her phone?
I'm actually curious to see a little bit of what the story is
about. So I don't think out of the blue, as in just like that, she just decided to say, let's get thugs to beat up the principal or to intimidate the principal, as the case may be. I'm sure there's a story that is just on the background that we don't know about. That story could have given rise to this, because no normal parent or normal adult will go hire thugs, right, to make sure that his or her child, must carry out malpractice, in other words, must cheat. There's something going on in that school that we don't know about.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we don't know right now, because what I'm seeing from this story here is that this phone was seized in the examination hall.
Was it like a math? I don't know. They didn't need the phone for any reason. Normally, they don't allow phones.
I don't know, but firstly, phones are not allowed into an examination hall. So it's understandable if the vice principal or a teacher or whoever it is as an official, it's understandable when your phones are seized, because it's not allowed. Even if you don't have plans to make use of your phone and you're making use of your phone in an examination hall, it is wrong, especially if they tell you have to. I mean, there are times, but if they said to you, oh, guys, you can keep your phones, it's understandable. But in a case where that was not the case, he didn't have any reason to have his phone with him in the hall.
Were other students, I don't know, were phones found on other students?
So what we're seeing is just the student. So
just that one.
What it would imply is that this is the person, because if perhaps anyone had their phones, it would have been that they were hiding it and smuggling. But then this is the person that they found with the phone, which is wrong. I mean, except they say keep your phones. You know, there have been times where we have the exams back in the days, and then your teacher tells you guys can keep your phone. But then if phones are not allowed, then why? Look, I think sometimes parents are also the people that spoil these children, because it also says a lot about you, because you were trying to see look at a perspective,
different angle, exactly,
but
to ask
under
why this?
any whatever perspective you're coming from, why will a responsible parent
come to that place with thugs? Now that's the part
problem
where I have a big issue with.
So it also says a lot, because you are not, I don't even know what to, back when I was in school, right? I remember we had an incident. One of my friends, she's also in the media, so she's doing amazing, and we were not supposed to keep our hair in senior class. And I remember then that we had this, we went back home, and then SS2, you're already feeling, and then she kept a little bit of hair, and then this teacher came. She was my own school, what they call that thing, what do they call that teacher that is like your guardian? And she was my own guardian then. But that didn't take away the fact that I didn't like what she did. So she came, and then she cut, like, so people were really excited that you're about to graduate. So that time things start easing off. I also went to a military school, and then she kept her hair, and this is like someone with one of the longest hairs.
And
she's like half cast. Yes.
The hair was
yes. Trimmed. And the woman came. Why I'm going to that story is the mom came on visiting day, and she came to address the teacher, like air out. She didn't come with thugs. This was this woman in question, and this my friend and my colleague in question was also a parent of a military officer. They could have said they want to, because this guardian, this woman in question was a civilian.
Oh wow.
Do you understand? They could have decided to do, use their power, but she didn't. She had to come talk, like, why would you cut
on a mature
this hair? Do you understand? It was a case then, but she spoke about it. She didn't. She could have. I mean, if she decided to make use of the Air Force officers to say, show Mr. Alaje some sort of pressure, they will. But she didn't do that. She came as a woman to woman. Why did you have to cut her hair? Couldn't you have punished them? Couldn't you have, like, this hair that took someone that was already, when you're graduating, you're already thinking of what you want to do with your hair. So this also says a lot about the parent, because she's not setting a good example. Because if I know that my parent is kind of person that will send thugs to beat a teacher, myself, I'll turn to this thing on the streets tomorrow.
The child only becomes what he or she has seen in the parent's attitude. All right,
but
so
I don't think we can take more.
We can't, right? Because of time. Okay.
You're right. We just have to go see what we have on the cartoon of the day, which we had teased earlier.
All right, let's see.
That cartoon is. I mean, I saw it earlier today. You've seen it as well.
I mean, I saw it earlier today. I saw. Well, how do I describe it now? For me, the story is more interesting. It just goes to show you that at the end of the day, our economy is not smiling.
Right. Let's see what we have on the cartoon of the day today.
So before it comes up, maybe we should jump to this Vanguard and see what's going on in the Vanguard. So FG gas-powered vehicle scheme runs into major hitch nationwide. 785 billion naira investment threatened. Page 19 here is detailed, but you begin to ask yourself a question, right? Is it that the homework wasn't properly done? Is it that someone didn't see that the FG gas-powered vehicle scheme, right, could have a problem in the future, right? I mean, it says here, so it says, there are indications that the federal government's FG scheme designed to move Nigeria's vehicle transportation service industry away from the fossil fuel petrol to gas has run into major hitch. Right. It continues by saying, industry stakeholders told Financial Vanguard, of course, that the initial joy has been overtaken by frustration due to supply shortage and insufficient infrastructure.
I think
it's on now. Let's see.
But here is the page of the pattern. We have this monstrous figure which depicts hardship. And then we have the president of the country, a cartoon image of the president of the country, and he has a scorecard. I mean, this is off the back of his 2 years in office, and it says midterm self-score 100%. That is the one scoring himself, and then he says, "Hey,"
I'm trying not to laugh. But
he says, "Hey, I have neutralized the monster in just 2 years. You are okay now." And then you see this monstrous figure that depicts hardship. Has somebody
economic downpour. Yes. I could go on. Look,
he has somebody that is clenched to the teeth, trying to get out, right? And you are seeing the lethargic, I mean, that's what I can see. It's like there's nonchalant attitude that the president has, and it says midterm self-score. You can see that person held in the mouth of that beast, trying to come out. You would expect that this person should be concerned about this person inside, is like trying to get the person out. But what this person is concerned about is the midterm self-score of 100%, which is sort of depicts how the leaders, see the people, despite the fact that they are held and tight and hardship. They really don't care about that. They care about their own self.
Again, I will say this. Yes, we understand that democracy, right, spells this fact, which is government for the people, by the people, and of the people.
Right.
And so the question now is hunger for the people, by the people, and of the people? I can go on and on with these things. People call me the master of sarcasm. But more importantly, if we leave sarcasm on one corner and then face it the way it should be, I believe that it is now more difficult to even make up one, let alone, having 101. Now, what we have is 0.5 in our eating formula. And so if cartoons like this explains to everyone who has the keen eye to see the true meaning, you understand that we're already halfway eaten by the monster called hardship.
Yep.
The remaining part of us
it's just
cannot
trying
even,
to,
yes,
and that's the person that is trying to struggling to eat 3 square meals a day.
This is the painful aspect. Before we used to have, upper class, middle class, and the lower class. Right now we have no middle class. It is the low class and the very high class.
So what happens to the people in the middle?
Like they say, we'll pray our way out of it.
The lines are blurred. I'll be honest with you. The lines, see, in Nigeria right now, you are just one disaster away from stark poverty.
And believe it or not, if our economy has not tanked, which I pray it never does, then yes, we do have hope. After all, we're in renewed hope. And let us hope that as we enter the second part of this year, we're already in June, right? It's rainy season. Already floods are beginning to kick in, which means farms and plantations be washed away. People are not seeing that. That's going to affect our food security. That's a big issue. So are we going to be looking at a lot of illegal importation of things that are not supposed to come into this country because they have to meet up the food crisis? It's going to happen. I don't have to be an economist to know these things. So the question is, are we ready as a nation? Is NEMA doing what they are supposed to have done? Now we hear flood coming up and we're seeing scorecard already saying I've done well. The question is, you and I, can we comfortably say that we want to graduate from 0.5 to at least 0.10?
Of what? Food?
Maybe we check our documentary and we'll see what we mean.
All right. I mean, that's as much as we can take this morning on the newspaper review segment. And we've just seen what we had on the cartoon of the day. What we saw was a depiction of hardship, a monstrous figure of hardship, and we saw the president of the country, talking about the fact that I've scored well, 100%. That's me scoring myself. But we would see what we have very soon.
What if truly he has scored 100%?
According to his books, I mean, who are we? But we have done what we've gone on the streets to see what people had to really say about the president's scorecard, and you'll be seeing that shortly. Don't go away.
I am, of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay. Of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with Business Day. I am, of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of Business Day. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with Business Day.
Business Day is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, Business Day has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. Our premium offerings are further enriched with syndicated content from esteemed sources like the Financial Times, The Economist, and the Harvard Business Review. At Business Day, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications.
For being consistent in organizing these CEO forums for almost the last 14 years, I think this is worth commendation, and I think something that will encourage them to continue.
From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, Business Day fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. Business Day is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, Business Day is your guide.
2 years is not too early to campaign. People just say that.
I want my children to be great.
Transportation is killing almost every one of us in Nigeria.
There is no profit in business again.
Tinubu is not the cause of Nigeria's suffering.
I did not vote for Tinubu, I will not lie.
I heard about the referendum, but I was told it was not real.
Many have weighed in their opinions on the issues surrounding the 2 years so far with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. How far has it been? It has been 2 years. And so, we decided to get out there on the streets to talk to market women, talk to students, and also speak to some professionals who understand what leadership is. And my team, of course, had all that time that they needed. But more importantly, the question is, so far, are we feeling the brunt or are we enjoying the leadership? All these questions need to be asked so we know exactly where we are as a country. So this is how far so far on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's leadership in Nigeria. So let's take a look and see what and what we had to gather. We'll be right back.
That would preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So, help me God.
2 years ago, a promise of renewed hope, Bola Ahmed Tinubu stepped into Nigeria's highest office. He inherited a nation's yearning for change, grappling with complex changes and challenges. Well, today, as his administration marked its second anniversary, we asked the question, so far, and how far has Nigeria come? From bustling markets to quiet neighborhoods, the heart of Nigeria beats with a mix of expectations and experiences. So we spoke with ordinary Nigerians from the marketplace.
I will tell you to go and check all this product. All this local made, they're supposed to reduce the price. They should check where they are producing it. If it is stores they are passing that is making everything to cost, they should know how to do it, because all this local made supposed to benefit us. It's not important now. Why are they suffering us? Look at, you cannot, if you want to buy biscuit now, before you buy this one, they will give you another one. Without that one, they will not allow you to buy your right one. Everything is just upside down. Tinubu should make things good for us. He should visit all this, especially this local goods, because the way the thing is coming out now, we are just like selling for them. There's no profit.
I did it for Tinubu. Tinubu is not the cause of Nigeria's suffering, to my own perception. Because if you look it from the critical view, Nigeria has been corrupted before Tinubu climbed the seat, to my own view. Though I'm jobless for now, but it's not Tinubu's fault. This is my 40 years of graduating, but I didn't regret it. Under Lagos State, during the Tinubu regime, I've acquired many skills under his regime.
I stay in Surulere. So in the morning, my husband will come and drop me. He will come and drop me here. My going home with my son, I spend, if I do Aroro, I will spend 2,000. If I do not do Aroro, I will spend like 2,200 or 2,400. When I'm very small, it's our father that has gone out to go and hustle. But now we women, what we are doing now, we're doing many things. We are more than men now in the house. We are the men in the house now. I want my children to be great.
To schools and universities, and of course some students, and their voices painted a vivid picture.
The impact of Tinubu for the 2 years that he's on the as the president of Nigeria, and also for the economy also, sir. From my place to my school here, because I live at Ibejuleki, so me coming here, I spent 5,000 naira for transport fare. If I'm also going back home, I spend 5,000 naira, making 10,000 naira. So for this month alone, I've been spending 40,000 naira on only transport fare alone. Transportation is killing almost every one of us in Nigeria. If I'm coming to the school, I have to do what? I have to eat. Let's say I estimate myself for the food. I eat, let's say 1,000. So it's a lot. I heard about the student loan that we can actually take a loan that when we want to fill the form, they will ask for the name of the school and everything, and also the account of the school. They will deposit the money into the account of the school. That after we graduated from the school, they will be deducting the money from our salary. But I've not been benefited from the loan.
I've affected negatively because it's first time with my parents. So whatever affects my parents will affect me. So it has not been easy to support my education. They should just consider us more on their plans and anything they want to do. They should consider the students. Like I had to come here from Badagry because my study center at Badagry does not have a lab for our practicals. So I had to come all the way from Badagry here to find a place to stay and all of that. It has been very risky and not easy. I've heard about the student loan, but I was told it was not real.
For some, the fuel subsidy removal and rising cost of living have brought significant hardship, while for others, they acknowledged that tough decisions holding on to hope for long-term gains was necessary. But again, insecurity remains a deep concern for many. Even as the government reports progress, it's a daily balance between struggling and resilience for Nigerians. So to understand the strategic shift, Elizabeth and I from BDTV News turned to Professor Anthony Killer, who is the director of CIAPS, a leading strategist in governance and policy making. He highlights the administration's bold reform, like the exchange rate unification aimed at physical stability and attracting investment, which was not bad. But again, while these moves are made, the administration undoubtedly has caused immediate economic pain, particularly with inflation.
I am one of those people, the few of us left, that do not agree that removing fuel subsidy was a good idea.
Fuel subsidy is gone.
A lot of people agree that it's a good idea, including those of us who were against it before. All of a sudden they agree, let history and their conscience judge them. Because when some of us were against it, it wasn't personal, it wasn't political. It was pure economics. Why am I against removal of fuel subsidy? Because I know as a trained economist, and I want to underline that, when you remove fuel subsidy from a system like Nigeria, I was against it under Jonathan because I said it will increase the price of transportation, it will increase the price of food, it will create poverty. And that is exactly what has happened now. If you say to me that you have to remove fuel subsidy, you have to tell me two things. One, why do you want to remove it? And two, what are you going to do with the removal? If you're removing it because people are corrupt, then gather the corrupt people together and jail them or stop them from being corrupt. The people involved in the corruption of fuel subsidy are less than 2,000. So because of 2,000 people, you're going to make 200 million people suffer. That does not make sense the way I was brought up. But there's something very wrong about that, and it needs to be said.
Professor Anthony Killer also went on to point out some key areas where Tinubu's administration and style has affected the nation, but the challenge still lies in translating these policies into tangible improvements for every citizen of Nigeria.
I think so far the government is very high on intentions and politics, but rather low on governance.
Okay.
And I say this because I use three elements, two criteria. What did they meet there? What did they promise? And what do we expect from them? When they were going to government, what the promise was lower prices, more food, more employment, a better Nigeria. For any reason in the world. That is, by the way, so far so bad because the cost of energy has gone up, the cost of electricity has gone up, prices of food have gone up.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know, maybe they're building the house, maybe it will be better, but in the meantime, it is rough for people, and it must be said, because if it is not said, government might get a wrong impression. Whether they are doing it for our own good. They celebrate reforms. Technically, I can see some of these reforms. I disagree with some of these reforms. I think we're halftime now. At halftime, government should be saying, I have done this, not I am going to do. I call it governance by tenses. By halftime, government should be using past tense, not future tense. So they shouldn't be saying what they're doing or what they plan to do. I think that's not good for Nigeria. And because I'm not a partisan politician, I still hope that, they do something very quickly to improve the situation. But generally, the situation is bad. If you're in a country where the bag of rice is more than the salary
of the average
Nigerian, that's not a good place to be.
So it is no news that President Tinubu's first 2 years have been marked by often difficult decisions to spark growth and changes in our economy. But again, is Nigeria now on a better trajectory? That's the question mark. And the path ahead is still unfolding, for sure, but fraught with both promises and ongoing hurdles. We ask again, so far, as the nation moves forward, should the ultimate measure of his leadership so far be focused on how swiftly and equitably the benefits of renewed hope is touching Nigerians in different ways? If at all, has it truly reached the homes and lives of all Nigerians? Well, the journey continues. And so you heard everyone's opinion, from students to market women. You heard them rant over how they've gone through a lot and how it's difficult for them to be able to come to work or go to marketplace, even be able to get to lectures on time. Does this mean that Nigerians are going through a lot? Does it mean that the fuel subsidy removal affected the nation in a very, negative manner or otherwise? Now, we also heard Professor Anthony Killer being interviewed by Elizabeth, and you heard all he had to say. As a professional, he weighed in. But looking at the streets right now, cars, as people begin to say, people are still buying fuel at exorbitant prices, but they have the money to buy this fuel. So the question is, 2 years has come and has gone. Are we moving forward or are we regressing? You decide. Has the 2 years of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu favored you or not? A big question that needs big answers. My name is Onika Valentine, BDTV. Until some other time, let's keep hoping.
Hello and welcome back to the BDTV Breakfast Show. You are tuned into the big story here on the BDTV Breakfast Show, and this is where we get to discuss key issues shaping our nation and our economy at large. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Today we're focusing on sport, exploring how Nigeria can view talent and a more united nation leveraging the National Sports Festival. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Abuse comes in various forms. So there's mental, verbal, financial, various ways of abusing a person. I realize now that it's people who have been abused
themselves
who abuse others.
Right.
There's so much shame attached to domestic violence and abuse that because of the shame, nobody talks about it. And then it becomes a vicious cycle. And the sad thing is the cycle continues because no one gets help.
Right.
But if you can just peel away the shame and peel away the dirty laundry syndrome, it's not dirty laundry. Like, you do not shush a victim of fire. When it comes to family and domestic violence, and also gender violence like rape, they shush the victim.
Right.
And the longer you shush the victim, the longer the abuse continues,
Right.
and nobody gets healed.
You're tuned into the Big Story segment here on the BDTV Breakfast Show. This is where we get to discuss key issues shaping our nation and our economy at large. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Today we're focusing on sport, exploring how Nigeria can view talent and a more united nation leveraging the National Sports Festival. The National Sports Festival for 2025, hosted in Abeokuta, Ogun State, has come and gone. While some states smiled home with a load of medals, others only won a handful of medals. But the sports festival was not only about medals, it was also a forum to strengthen Nigeria's unity, to discover new talent and reward participants. What extent were these goals achieved? Well, to discuss this and so much more, we're joined by a very, very interesting man. In the studio, we're joined by Anthony Levem, Business Day sport editor. Welcome to the show, Anthony.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Elizabeth.
It's good to see. I feel like it's a delight to see you speaking about sports today. This is your complete stuff.
It's a complete stuff. I can't imagine. It's like our own Olympics. Like I always tell people, who have multi-sport event. And for me, when I got to Abeokuta, I was shocked. I was saying, wow, you know, having athletes from over 36 states. And the stadium was full with a lot of business activities. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. And I give kudos to Ogun State fans. They are very civil. No issue of like harassment. People came, they enjoyed themselves. And it was fun. It was fun and it was fun. Again, what struck me again was the facility at the stadium. Because last time I visited the stadium, there were a lot of, the stadium was not in a good shape. But looking at it, the Membo, the swimming pool, credit, not the PR for the governor, but credit to the governor.
You have to speak when something is good.
The credit to the governor. The facilities were top notch. And I was like asking them, I said, what next after the sports festival? Because you need to keep these facilities in good shape. There must be sporting activities. And in my interview with the LOC chairman, he said, you know, they suggested to the governor, any school inter-house sports should take place in the stadium. So with that, you know, by the time you keep the stadium active every time, so you can, in a way, maintain those facilities.
So you think that keeping it active, keeping it in use
Yes, because if you leave it for a long time, for like 1 year, 2 years, you see all those drugs, those chairs, they start decaying, all those stuff. But when you have regular sporting activities happening in that state, you know, there will be need to like wash this place, clean this place, and all of that.
I see where you're coming from.
You know what happened to Abuja Stadium now? There are grasses everywhere.
I mean, it's a complete, it's a deserted area. But what do you think about the entire organization itself?
For me, the only point I felt that is like collation of medals were still done manually. And it should be done electronically, like what we have in Olympics. And well, maybe we are still getting there. They will call so person, they will write it down, then later in the day, they will collate it. And there's also slow pace in releasing the medals table, because most time we have to like cry, because we have a WhatsApp group that will say, okay, medals table, because it's good to get the medals table from the direct source, so that you don't start quoting what is wrong. But organization, you can't always have it 100%.
100%. But if you were to rate it on the scale of 1 to 100,
I would have rated it 75 or 80%. But what got me angry was that protest from the athletes. And it got me angry because it was this host state. And I felt that those things should have been put in, you should have sorted all those things. Athletes first. Because I mentioned that when I had an interview with the LOC chairman, I said, some states were like, the athletes were like complaining that they said for them be the LOC chairman, that is not their duty, is the states. So when that protest happened, you can imagine they barricaded the Games Village at Bangkok University for hours, demanding for the allowances. It was, for me, that was a national shame. It's a big slap on the governor. It's like he's drilling all the good scores he has had before and during the festival.
Yeah, that takes away all of the nice things people have to say.
Exactly. For me, I said, no, this is, it's just unfortunate that athletes are always put at the back seat. And these are the actors. Because these are the guys that won medals, that bring glory to the tournament. And a lot of these athletes, young, dynamic, a lot of them set new national records. Young, you can see future athletes, and I'm shocked that you have not been paid. And when I asked, somebody was telling me that they don't want to pay ghost workers, ghost athletes, and I can imagine ghost athletes when the tournament is about 10 days, you are still talking about ghost athletes. I don't understand. For me, I felt that was a very, very, very a big slap. Aside that, I give it to Ogun State, the government. The stadium was active like 24 hours. Honestly, I've never seen such. The only time I saw that kind of thing was some years back when Super Eagles hosted the Atletico Madrid team in Uyo. That match was played in the night. And unlike Lagos here, if you play any match in the night, as soon as you're coming out, You see all those criminals waiting to snatch your bag, but that didn't happen. In fact, the bike man took me inside the stadium. Yeah, they won't even allow you to even. So it shows that people were, those who were selling, trading, doing businesses, those who came, so it was just fun for me.
Must have been an experience for you. How many days did it last for?
It lasted for 11 to 12 days. So I was there on Sunday. I came back on Saturday. I didn't start with them. I joined in between. But for me, those days I was shocked that if we can have more of this. I was not at the last one in Delta. In fact, the people I spoke with, they said Delta too had a very remarkable, sports festival. So we are looking forward for the one that will happen in Enugu, perhaps South East, and from South East. I hope they will learn from Delta and learn. And again, the beauty about the National Sports Festival is another means of upgrading the sport facilities. Is
this something that is done across different states?
No, state bids. They bid to host it.
Oh, they bid to host it.
Just like
so what's the need for them?
No, the need for it that, for instance, the trade. If you go to the stadium, you see people from people selling clothes, shoes, bags, all manners of things. And I interviewed one of them, said he has been doing this thing for 20 years. Anytime that people from Lagos take their goods there, they spend 2 weeks there. The laptop, there's nothing you look for that you won't get there. So their businesses, those money goes to. It's a boost for Ogun State
okay, so
economy.
The money goes to the state.
Yes.
How was the sharing formula?
The thing there is that for you to get a space there first, people pay as high as 75,000 just to get a small space to stay for 2 weeks, and you have. I don't want to use hundreds. By the time you do those calculations, and those who came for the sports festival, they spend money. They lodge in an hotel. They go to the bar, they go to the club, they spend money. That adds to the economy of that state. Yes. If you go to their bar, God, I wish we were there. It's shut down.
Across the state?
That's MK Abiola Stadium.
Wow.
Shut down. And all those big sports bars, all those big bars within Abeokuta, shut down. And when I was told that when people heard that the video was coming, the guys from Lagos were like, that day was no-go area. And the final day that, Kwam, this guy that plays music, this Yoruba Fuji guy, that plays the Yoruba guys, his fans from Lagos stormed the place. And when they come, they spend money.
So it's a boost for the economy. So
yes,
I see what you mean when you say that you hope that we have more of this. Because remember during our sport conference, we talked about how to boost the economy, leveraging sports. But this is definitely a good way.
Sports can add about 1 or 2% to our GDP if we do it right.
And that goes a long way.
If we do it right, it can. And those people who came, who do businesses there, they make money too. A man who leaves his family, people come from Delta, from the north, to spend 2 weeks there, and they sell bastardly. And I was asking one, I said, why do you take this risk? He said if they have shop, they sell like 1 or 2 pairs. But this one, they are guaranteed of selling multiple pairs of shoes.
So when they think about, I mean, this is BusinessDay TV, so we need to talk about the economic side of things. So when they think about, if I'm going to sell 1 or 2 pairs of shoes, and if I come to this festival, I'm selling multiple pairs.
Yes.
With maybe, so it's a good one.
It's a good one, and again, they sell it at a reduced price because they sell more. Maybe at the shop they can say the shoe is 45,000. Maybe here it's 38 or 39, 40, but they sell more.
And is there a guarantee that you will sell?
No, you will sell. The crowd is massive. When you are going to the stadium, you're like pushing yourself.
And then this also it's a means to generate revenue for hotels as well.
In fact, when I got there, I have to
bars,
thanks to our
restaurants,
our deputy news editor that helped me book my place.
Transportation.
In fact, it was like 24 hours during that festival time. It was 24 hours economy at Abeokuta. Where I lodged, the club there is 24 hours. In fact, people are entering there 12 a.m. They're spending money. They're spending money. And for me, I'm so impressed because during that period, there was no incident of robbery or snatching of bags. And for me, I said, Lagos fans should learn from this. Because that's the problem. I asked myself, can Lagos host the sports festival? I don't know. But with that kind of crowd, oh God, you can't, because you need to be civil. They have civil fans there. Civil. For me, I was impressed. Except for the protest, and again, towards the last minute of the festival, the medal, pardon of a thing, we all know that when it comes to sports festival, the Niger Delta State always dominates. You know, they take the show and all of that. But towards the time, we just had that Ogun State came second, and we're asking ourselves how. And for me, those things took away those glorious moments from that sports festival.
I mean, let's talk about the sporting side of things. We've talked about the economic side of things. Now, for the first time, the festival introduced the invited junior athletes category, which allowed junior athletes to compete as the 38th state. What do you think about this initiative in nurturing young talent?
It's a means of, you see, the essence of the sports festival, aside the economic or business implication, the idea is to discover and nurture young talent. And that again is to boost, you know, cultural activities. You know, when you have people from the north, excuse me, people from Kano, people from Jigawa, people from all of that, you like see, you know, the cultural aspect of it, most importantly, discovering talents. And a lot of talents were discovered from those, you know, junior athletes. For me, I was impressed, and it's a way of, again, you know, I'm sure next festival there'll be one or two introduction of one or two sports. The idea is discovering them, because sport is big business. It is big, and we, you know, we are blessed in this country. We are blessed. It's just that maybe management and all of that. We have talent in this country. We have talent. The likes of Toby Amuson, the likes of Esebrume, the likes of Ophili, even Okabari before she had issues, she represented us very, very, very well. So we have those talents here. You know, but most times we look at football. If you look at other sports, where Nigeria has bundle of talents.
Of course, you know,
yes. Is it in swimming? Is it in athletics? Yes. Is it boxing? Is it wrestling? You know, because of what football brings, that popularity, that thing. No. There are a lot of talents. We are rich. And for me, the sports festival brought that out to limelight. A lot of records were shattered, new records were setting, and there's also is a motivation for others that, okay, I've set this record. I think the next sports festival, I need to do more. And for those states who didn't do well, I'm sorry, the Enugu state that is hosting the next festival only managed one gold. So maybe that will, you know, challenge them that you need to prepare well and find a way. Because when I spoke with the LOC chairman, I said, how long did it take to get all these arrangements and everything? He said they've been having meeting with the governor for 2 years. Back to back, this, back to back, this, back. So you can imagine 2 years.
That's good. That's how to plan.
That's how to plan.
That's how to plan. You don't just start.
You know, you can't get those results overnight. You can't. And for me, on that side, during the Delta, there were issues about the athletes' welfare, where they stayed. And then I was still with Punch. He was widely covered. But this time around, you know, like what the man told me, PPP arrangements with Bangkok University, they gave them a very comfortable place to stay. So there was no issue of you know, accommodation issues. The only problem is that place is just like 1 hour plus to the venue, to the stadium. But again, it sorted out the issue of accommodation, feeding.
Where is 1 hour plus to the venue?
And it's in Ijebu.
Babcock University.
Yeah, so it's like 1 hour drive plus 2 to the stadium.
Was there a partnership with Babcock University?
Yes, it was a partnership.
Okay.
So they gave them those facilities. And for me, like, I would advise that for sports to thrive in this country, we need to bring the private, you know, the PPP model must work, because government cannot do it alone. And like, if all those companies, if you involve yourself in sport very well, it's a tax base. For Bangkok now, you know what Ogun State government will do for them? Of course. Okay, you are part of this, okay. Maybe you pay tax for this, okay. So tax bit. That's fine. And they did well. You know what that means for the state, the burden of lodging each athlete in an hotel, and the best bet is to have them in one place, not. And I don't see why.
So Bangkok University lodged them.
Yes.
So what happened to the students during this time?
I'm not sure.
They
were on break. Yeah.
Okay.
So it
was properly planned.
It was well planned. It was well planned. For me, I was shocked when I heard about it. I said, well, whoever would have given the governor that kind of initiative really did well, because you can't say you want to have If you want to, how many games will you build to have thousands of athletes in one place? You can't even say this hotel, you will see them scattered. And again, the beauty that their bosses, immediately after the games,
your bosses
each
transport
state to,
you
yes.
from place to place.
So for me, it's, in terms of organization, that is well, you know, if not for those protests,
the protest, and then you talked about the
medal,
yeah,
if not for those things, I think they did very well.
We have to give it to Governor
I don't want to
Abiodun.
they did very well. In terms of that, I'm impressed. And again, that period, I mean, with the environment, Abeokuta looks very neat. I won't lie, looks very neat, and the rules are, in fact, coming in, you saw those cyclists and all of that. This, you know, the last time I visited was not like that. So I think the governor tried. I'm not trying to do a PR for him.
Yes, but you have to just say it as it is. I mean, you called out the other things.
Yes,
they could have done better. Well. But when we see something good, we have to say it.
Yes.
I do hope that the Ojude Oba
festival.
Festival. I hope that we could talk about things like this, because I know that away from the fashion, people complain about the roads. People complain about so many things during the
Although people from the state, the feedback I got is that, like, most of the lights there were not done by the governor. Were done by somebody who wants to become governor. Yayi by name. I don't want to sound so. But again, it was a nice festival. For me, security, good.
Top notch.
Yes, security, because for me at the point I was saying, 1 a.m. Okadas are still flying. There's not like you snatch my bar, only. No.
Wow.
People still go to stadium. You see people want to go to stadium 11 o'clock. They still go to stadium 12 o'clock. They still go to stadium. I don't know whether you can try that. Maybe in Lekki or VI. Maybe you can't try that in National Stadium here. I don't know.
No, we will also up our security if we have to do that. But let's talk about, advocacy. Now, Daniel Igali, Bayelsa State Commissioner for Sport Development, has advocated for the inclusion of traditional sports like Kokowa, which is traditional wrestling, and canoeing into the festival. Do you believe that traditional sports should be allowed into the competition?
The question is that he's saying that because, fine, it comes from an area where you have, athletes who can't, do that sport very well. But for somebody who comes from, like, Kano State, so maybe that's a fine advocate, because for he feels that an opportunity to win more medals, and again, another opportunity to make the festival more enticing, because the more you have more sports, you have more talent in that space. But again, I would look at it that do you have enough states that have strength in that kind of sports? Yeah, he's saying that because if you look at Bayelsa, Rivers, Delta, that's their strength area. That's their strength area. If you talk about somebody in Lagos, we have all these what these guys in what do they call them in Lagos? They say they are indigenous. I've forgotten them. Barigabi, what's the name of this Egun people in Lagos here? Okay. We can also involve them. That's fine. That's fine. See, the thing there is that there's nothing wrong to be innovative.
So we can, if you have to introduce canoeing, where is they can.
No, get a river now.
They'll
get a river now.
So they will have to go there.
That takes us out not all the whole sports were held.
Stadium.
Were held in MKO. They have other sporting activities at other venues. So you understand? So because you can't have one. The Olympics is not held in one place. It's not. So you can always get a river outside where this is for canoeing and all that. Of course, that's possible.
I think we should encourage it, because this also will boost. This will also, bring some money into some people's pockets. You know what I mean? Because there are people, you also empower them. The people in Makoko that are, every day they are doing all of these things. So you'd also help them to make some money also. So I think we can actually look into it. But the festival attracted over 15,000 participants and visitors, which, like you alluded to,
I think it should be more than that.
Boosted local businesses and tourism. Tourism sites like Olumo Rock and all of that. That's good. What strategies do you think that can be implemented to sustain, the economic benefits of such large sporting events like this one?
I think the first one is any state where you have security, people are confident and relaxed to come in, spend their money. I know people from diaspora that came in people from diaspora that came in for this event. And so for me, the first thing is security, one. State-of-the-art facilities. And again, the athletes should be well taken care of. You saw what happened with the Kano athletes, the contingent that had an accident. That's what we're saying, because I don't see why you have athletes that competing that will have to drive all the way from the 8, 10, 12, 13, 14 hours for a festival. By the time you get there, you need like 2 days to rest. So these are the issues that needs to be addressed. And again, the state government too should also play active. They should see sports as a way of developing their state and empowering the people and making, because in fact, I saw one guy, they call him, you must say, he's a footballer, and he has a bus he's using. Aside football, he has a bus he's using to do transport business. You're empowering the people. You understand? You're empowering the people. You are alleviating poverty, and you are discovering stars. You never can tell. They can travel to US and all of that, and they become stars, and they make their family better. So for me, other states should learn from Ogun State, the success, the lapses, not to allow that to happen. And again, the next one is less than 2 years. I don't know. So that means Enugu needs to hit the ground.
They need to hit the ground running. I mean, like you said, they need 2 years. So they should start now as well. Borrow from the lessons, borrow from the experience. Yes.
Next year, December. So they have about 18 months. So they need to hit the ground running. I'm sure the governor is a very, I don't know, but they need to hit the ground running, because we can't set a less standard. We need to keep improving and keep improving and keep improving.
And then, so finally, President Bola Tinubu had mentioned, the fact that events like this boost national unity.
Yes, it does. It does.
How would you say that more other states can also, borrow from the lessons, borrow from the successes of this to also help us boost our national economy? And also to, in your own view, do you think this met international standards?
Yes, it does. Because before I went to the swimming pool, when I saw pictures, I asked myself, I said, is it not pictures from foreign this thing? But when I got to the swimming pool, it was actually the picture.
Wow.
I'm not trying to do hype. It was actually the swimming pool was superb. It was actually the picture. Sometimes they send pictures, you said, are you sure it's not picture from one international event like
from
that?
Pinterest,
so when Google. I got there, for me, to some extent, we won't be like the Europeans and all of that, they own sports. But I think to some extent, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. And again, looking about, the unity that it portrays, I was speaking with somebody, and when someone that came, I asked the man, do you know this guy? He said, we are Delta together. We are so together. Somebody from Castina. This man is from Delta. So you can imagine, and they know each other.
Wow.
So what are we saying? The only thing that unites us in this country is sports. So when it comes to sport, it doesn't matter where you're a Muslim, it doesn't matter where you're a Christian, it doesn't matter. Everybody comes together. So I think government should use that as a tool to unite the country more.
Thank you very much, Anthony Lebem, our Business Day sports editor, for your time this morning talking on the National Sports Festival. Thank you for bringing me. You literally took me to Ogun State this morning.
No, I wish we were there, but it was nice experience, and I wish we can sustain that moving forward.
Thank you so much.
Sport is the only thing that brings us together, and we hope we sustain that.
Thank you so much. Your love for sports is very palpable. Thank you so much for being on The Big Story this morning. It was lovely speaking with you. But that's all we can take this morning on The Big Story. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Keep watching BDTV.
Abuse comes in various forms. So there's mental, verbal, financial, various ways of abusing a person. I realize now that it's people who have been abused
themselves
who abuse others.
Right.
There's so much shame attached to domestic violence and abuse that because of the shame, nobody talks about it. And then it becomes a vicious cycle. And the sad thing is the cycle continues because no one gets help.
Right.
But if you can just peel away the shame and peel away the dirty laundry syndrome, it's not dirty laundry. Like, you do not shush a victim of fire when it comes to family and domestic violence, and also gender violence like rape. They shush the victim.
Right.
And the longer you shush the victim, the longer the abuse continues,
Right.
and nobody gets healed.
Nigeria is at its turning point, from reform to recovery. On the 10th of July 2025, the 13th edition of the Business Day CEO Forum Nigeria gathers Nigeria's sharpest minds, business leaders, investors, and policymakers in one room to shape the future. Aliko Dangote, with the biggest conglomerate in West Africa, the Dangote Group, Harish Aswani of the Tolerant Group, Wale Edu, the Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Nigerian Economy, and many more reshaping Africa's leadership space will be there. The Business Day CEO Forum Nigeria 2025, from reform to recovery. Register now at www.ceoforum.businessday.ng.
I am, of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
Business Day is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, Business Day has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. Our premium offerings are further enriched with syndicated content from esteemed sources like the Financial Times, The Economist, and the Harvard Business Review. At Business Day, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications.
For being consistent in organizing these CEO forums for almost the last 14 years, I think this is a recommendation, and I think something that will encourage them to continue.
From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, Business Day fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. Business Day is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, Business Day is your guide.
This is the Craftsmanship Chronicle series on Go Local, and on this episode, our focus is on wood, trees in our hood. Kemi Michael here, your Yoruba named Akwa Ibom girl, welcoming you to Go Local. Now, Go Local is a podcast where we delve deeply and explore our nation's local uniqueness. Go local, buy local, and together we stay global. As we get into it, do also grab a cup of your favorite drink and a snack you would love to munch on. Oh, and make sure to make it a Nigerian snack and get ready for an amazing ride. Since humans first realized they could make use of the materials they found in the vicinity, wood has been used and altered by us. People eventually learned about the special qualities of wood as they utilized it to satisfy a wide range of human requirements in peace and conflict, farming, and industry. Throughout history, trees and their wood have been essential to human existence. Since ancient times, wood has been one of our most vital building elements, used for construction as well as for production of tools, weapons, and furniture. Wood has historically played a key role in a lot of areas, and we Nigerians are part of that history. For this episode, I went to the Itamaga sawmill in the Ikorodu area of Lagos State, where I was able to speak with the General Secretary of the sawmill.
My name is Alhaji Kabiru Adegboyega Ibrahim, and this is Sogidowo sawmill Itamaga. So I'm the secretary to the association, General Secretary to the association, Sogidowo Plant Marketers Association of Nigeria.
Here in Nigeria and around the world, we have several uses of wood, such as agricultural purposes, for making musical instruments, for carving religious figurines, to create household furniture, for casket production, for fortification, as well as for a source of energy supply, for example, our firewood and general logs for fireplaces. The wood production in Nigeria has specific process, and I will leave the explaining for the experts.
The woods normally come in 2x6. That is for roofing. So when they boil to the, like the ones you are looking there now, and it's 2x6. So when they bring it here, so if you want to saw it, you saw into 2x4, 2x3, 2x2. Those are the roofing plank. So we saw it to those sizes if you need it for roofing. So we take it from the shed down to the machine side. So we saw it there. If it is roofing, so we saw 2x4, 2x3, 2x2. So for facing board, that one is 1x12, 1x12x12. So now like the one that they are putting down there. So that is 1x12x12 for facing board. So after you roof, to facing board, so you cover breeze or whatever. So that's what they use that one for. So to seal the roof with the ceiling. So that's what they use it for.
Just like other industries, the wood industry sure has its challenges.
The challenges we usually face is the problem of this marine police or guard or whatever. You know, they are extorting us too much. You know Nigeria, that's Nigeria system, corruption. After we will have saw wood, process it, take the license, but we usually collect approval for wood, any wood cut. After that, if you pass through the water, if this marine police or whatever see you, they will still collect money as if you never collect any paper. So that's the Nigerian problem. So we face many challenges, yeah? At the same time, after they are coming from the river, the canoe bash, those the trucks that are coming into the sawmill, those are the policemen on the road, try to collect something, collect money. Those are the challenges we have.
Vegetation of Nigeria can be broadly classified into two types, that is, forest and savanna. Now, according to Statista in 2021, Nigeria exported forest products amounting to nearly 109.7 million US dollars. Most of these products were roundwood and sawnwood, amounting to roughly 52.4 million and 8.1 million US dollars, respectively. Other main exported forest products included paper and paperboard.
The wood always come from Bayelsa State, Ondo State, Edo State, and from Oyo as well. But the one coming from Oyo, that's 1 by 12 by 12, and at times 2 by 12. But 2 by 6 wood for roofing normally come from Bayelsa, Edo State, Ondo State, and at the same time from Ogun State, Ogun Water side. The customer you have, if it is an old customer, you must have a relationship. He can call you on phone and place order. So you call transport for him. When you've concluded with him for the quotation of the wood, so if you help him process it, you call transporter to transport it. So they will take it down to him. Or some do come inside to the market by themselves. So they will negotiate price, buy the wood, call a motor to pack it. Because the transporters, they have their own station as well.
According to the United Nations, Nigeria has the highest deforestation rate in the world, with an estimated 3.7% of its forest lost every year.
That's what I'm saying, our problem here. And these forestry people that are supposed to be handled at Ministry of Agriculture. Wherever they cut timber, supposed to plant it back immediately. They don't do that. In a question of say 5 to 10 years now, there will be the issue of a wood scarcity. Those places that I'm talking the other time, Bayelsa, Edo, whatever. If you want to get wood now, it's very, very far to the upland, to the river itself, to the swamp itself, too far. That's why the wood is very hot now.
This is a call to action to the Department of Forestry, Federal Ministry of Environment. We in Nigeria are losing our trees and we need a solution to this loss. When one tree is cut down, I believe 10 more should be planted in its stead. Wood in Nigeria plays a very vital role, and leaving our forests to chance of the trees growing on their own accord is very risky. We need to be more intentional about our forests, and yes, also the trees in our hood. If you've ever wondered where you can get wood from, well, look no further. The sawmill at Itamaga area of Ikorodu in Lagos is right there for you. Now, if you happen to be a lover of DIYs, or you're a professional wood carver, an artist that uses wood for their craft, or one who uses wood in their everyday life, for example, writers, well, always remember, wood is good, but we need more trees in our hood. Plant a tree today, save our environment.
This is a National Cane Weaver Association. Normally we call it Cane Village. My own name is Dennis Omaride from Delta State, the chairman of National Cane Weaver Association in Lagos.
My name is Adebayo Olamide Sandra. I run sanora.ng on Instagram, which is a rattan business.
The production process is this is a raw material. We thank God for Nigeria because the cane we are using, not that we planted it, is from the forest. The guy came from the other states, from Edo State, even Ondo State. So we have a different body. We have a supplier. So when they come to Lagos, we buy them. So after buy them, we now do the process. How can we scrape the cane to make sure we can bring the cane to design anything needful? So that is the process of the cane. After that, you use it to work. Like you see what is there now. after painting, that is why you get all this finishing work. You know, I have a lot of process. We scrape it, we tear it. After tear it, then we have to smooth it so that we can use it to design whatever that we do. And most of the things, they are in the market, you can see. Because I'm not working hand, but they are finishing products. We use hand, we doesn't use machine. Well, we call it water cane. We have 2 types of material. We have water cane, we have willow cane. Willow. Those are the 2 material, the major material we use in Nigeria here. But in the best cane work in the world, Indonesia, their cane is planted, but our own is from God. So those cane, they can never finish from the forest, because in as our forest exists, the cane also exists. So we, after they bring them, we buy them. When we buy them, before we can come to cane like this, when we are even in primary school, we know how to do handwork. And the handwork is from cane. Sometimes we used to tie broom. Sometimes we will do something like KG fish. So in that process, we know how to use the cane in the village. Because most of us, we are not from here. Because the majority in this place is from Delta State, 99%. So we know how to do KG fish, do handwork. When we come here, we now know that cane is so very useful for many things. So that's why we put the idea through even the white men who give us catalog. Then from there, we have been working. That is how we enter this. The challenges of this work, the place we are now, this is not the best place for the business. We want a place that we can use it as a tour. When people came, they will come and see what we are doing. But presently now, based on Lagos State, there's no new place. We need a place that we can display our market, showcase our market, so that people will know that we are operating. Because now we are under the bridge. But see yet we are still managing this place because there is no land. And we have no authority. That is why we are managing this place. But this is the center of the business for all Nigeria. This is the center. In terms of finance, even apart from the finance, we want the government to intervene on the work. Because some times ago, we wrote to we under a ministry of we are under the ministry. So they promised us that they will give us a better place. And after that place, when we even work, they can export the work to another country so that they will not say that our youths are not working. So even students will train them. Those in university, we have a lot of graduates here anyway. Some people they are blood now from this work. Wow. We have at least less than 3 people are doing their master in the US from here. So we want the government to teach us more because they know better than us. We are only trying to operate on our own. But by the time they put their knowledge on the work, I think we expand more better way for Nigeria.
You can use rattan for literally anything. I always tell anybody that you can use rattan for literally anything. You can use rattan to make a standing fan. I'm not kidding. You can use rattan to make vases. You can use rattan, for your interior decoration. You can use rattan for your event decoration. I mean, look at beautiful traditional weddings. Have you seen what makes them beautiful? Rattan, you guys, raffia products, right? So yes, you can use raffia products for mirrors. You can use raffia products. You can use raffia products in hotels. You can use raffia products for consoles, TV consoles. You can use them for mats. You can use rattan product for literally anything. You can use them for chair. I wish my rattan chair was here that I could see that one. Gosh, you can use rattan for that as well. You can use rattan for literally anything, yeah.
Customer is not coming, but based on the online, we are selling. After you produce, you deliver, they pay your money. And we are not the people that will collect money for someone and will not do the job. And that's why we have a leader. So if anyone does such, we cut it. I think we brought it to book. Based on the online markets, and those that do the events, they are really promoting us. That's how we are still sustaining for now. Raffia is made by God. We have two types anyway. We have rattan, we have cane, we have another one, but all the name is under rattan. One is rubber,
Okay.
one is cane, one is glass. It's like a leaves.
Oh.
So those are the three major things we really use here. But the best one is cane. You know, it's from God. Even the other one that is leaves, it's not as last as cane, but it's beauty. It's fine. You can see this one now. This is rubber.
Okay.
This
Can I?
Yes, they brought this one from like this one. This one you see now. This is rubber, but we call it rattan.
Okay.
They export this to come, and it's very expensive. It's not like cane, but it does not last as cane.
Skin.
When you see that, you like it. But
It's fine.
Yes, but even though we can use cane to do it, then the only thing we will now spray to this milk color. We can use cane. We can now spray to this color. And why this cane? When we started this work, when those white people that are coming, we didn't know that they are taking the measurement of our cane. They take it from here, and we don't know. They begin to start to produce this long ago, and it is we that doing it now. When they came to Nigeria before, we learn work from them, but we tell that you cannot come to our country, they will learn work from you, and that's why we take over the business.
Kemi Michael here, your Yoruba named Akwa Ibom girl, welcoming you to Go Local. We took a trip down to the town of Kenta in the heart of Abeokuta, where we met with the Otun Iyaloja of Kenta Kampala Market and a few traders.
Chief Mrs. Olukemi Somuyiwa Odunlami. I am the Otun Iyaloja of Kenta Adire Kampala Market.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Kaka Aisha Remilekun.
Adire was once, and still is, a closely guarded family secret in Egbaland. Parents carefully taught the techniques to their daughters, and the wives to their sons. This tradition was so sacred that outsiders were initially barred from participating, as Adire production echoed the whispers of a family's heritage.
Yes, my grandmom did it, my mom did it, and now to me. And by the grace of God, my children are still on it also.
They're learning.
They've learned it. They are growing up. They've married, and they are doing this business.
Okay.
And they are educated too.
Yes.
At least I have PhD holder among them. I have BSc among them. But I made this business compulsory for them. They have passion for it because it's something they grow up with.
It's a family thing. So my mom do, my grandmom, I was born into it. So after schooling, the challenges in the economy, have to come back into the business.
Different countries go through challenges. Our motherland, Nigeria, sure has her fair share of those. In these trying times, the Adire makers and producers are also affected by several challenges.
The challenges that we are facing presently is the material we are using. You see, they are not producing the material, the clothes in Nigeria now. Most of the industries that produce it, like Gaspia Textile, United Textile, Arewa Textile, they are fold up. So the white material that we are using now, the brocade, is from China. And you see the dollar is moving up. So it's made the price to cost now. Before, when they are producing it in Nigeria, we do buy it like 100,000 per bill. Even it was 55 before. It's jumped to 100,000. Now it's 600,000 per bill. So it's very expensive presently. Then secondly, the dye that we are using is not made in Nigeria. It's an imported also. So the price has risen up. Even the common candle that we are using is now expensive. It's not made in Nigeria. They are imported. We call it paraffin wax. So with the price now that moves up, it affects the production. You see, when we produce it finish, the price will rise up. There are some we are selling before 880, 880. It's now like 15,000, 20,000. So those are the problems we face now.
Now, this is a call to action for the government to go ahead and invest in infrastructure, because quite sure these companies that produce the white cloth used for adire making would not fold up if the right infrastructures were put in place. Now, this is your sign to go local, buy local, and stay global. Visit any shop, or you can take that trip down to Abeokuta and shop for some adire products. To be part of this podcast, send an email to customercare@businessday.ng with the title Go Local Podcast, and we will be there to answer all your questions. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at BusinessDayNG.
I am, of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
BusinessDay is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, BusinessDay has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. Our premium offerings are further enriched with syndicated content from esteemed sources like the Financial Times, The Economist, and the Harvard Business Review. At BusinessDay, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications.
For being consistent in organizing these CEO forums for almost the last 14 years, I think this was a commendation, and I think something that will encourage them to continue.
From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, BusinessDay fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. BusinessDay is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, Business Day is your guide.
This is the Business Day television broadcast.
Hello and welcome. Good afternoon. This is the BDTV News at noon. I am Norma Owona. I'll be bringing you the news shortly while we go for a short break.
You are watching Business Day television. This is the Business Day television broadcast.
Abuse comes in various forms. So there's mental, verbal, financial, various ways of abusing a person. I realize now that it's people who have been abused
Themselves.
who abuse others.
Right.
There's so much shame attached to domestic violence and abuse that because of the shame, nobody talks about it. And then it becomes a vicious cycle. And the sad thing is the cycle continues because no one gets help.
Right.
But if you can just peel away the shame and peel away the dirty laundry syndrome. It's not dirty laundry. Like, you do not shush a victim of fire. When it comes to family and domestic violence, and also gender violence like rape, they shush the victim.
Right.
And the longer you shush the victim, the longer the abuse continues,
Right.
and nobody gets healed.
Good morning and welcome to the BDTV Breakfast Show. I am Bethel Obajabi.
My name is Elizabeth Musa.
And this is the social listening segment on the BDTV Breakfast Show.
We're talking about the Fly Nigeria Act. Can you give us a background into what this is about?
We are here today on the streets of Lagos, Nigeria, to gather opinion about a pressing issue.
I go look at the cost of petrol. We get very for Nigeria with the suffer.
The income is not really increasing, but the prices of items are increased. Nothing like service again. No. You only pray for that money to reach you that month.
There's a lot of high pressure, a lot of stress. There's a lot of high targets to be met.
I was quite strict. In my mind, I said, looking for my hand, my picking go spoil.
To allow all banks and all the players in the space.
15% inflation target achievable in 2025.
The command and vision philosophy of both the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, and indeed all the service chiefs.
Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to the BDTV News at noon. I am Norma Owona. Let's see what's making headlines. Nigeria plans $464 million waterway boost to ease Lagos traffic. Nigeria's revenue machine roars to life under Tinubu. Coalition against Tinubu in 2027 will fail, says APC chieftain. Thousands evacuate from fast-moving fires in Canada. Manchester completes £62.5 million signing of Brazil forward Matheus Cunha from Wolves. Let's begin the news in Nigeria, where the Lagos state government has revealed that it is engaged in the European Union to develop inland waterways as part of measures to ease gridlock in the state. In a statement released Friday, the state government revealed that they are due to break ground on the €410 million project in June. According to the government, the project, called Omi Echo, meaning Lagos Water in the local Yoruba language, will provide jetties and high-capacity electric boats along the region's waterways to harness the economic potential of the state's aquatic ecosystem and solve socio-economic problems. And moving on, the Federal Ministry of Finance has emerged as a standout performer under President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, posting a record-breaking achievement. The ministry's achievement comes as Nigeria grapples with the dual challenge of economic recovery and fiscal sustainability, implementing and enacting reforms that are reshaping the nation's revenue architecture. The ministry's 2024 midterm report, compiled by the Office of the Special Advisor to the President on Policy and Coordination, reveals the finance sector on a transformation trajectory. The Federal Inland Revenue Service, also known as FIRS, shattered previous records, collecting 21.66 trillion naira in the 2024 alone. That is 111.6% of its revenue target, while non-oil taxes exceeded projections by 28%, making up a commanding 73.4% of total revenues. The ministry credited much of its progress to deliberate policies targeting fiscal discipline, innovation, and private sector synergy. And still on, a chieftain of the All Progressive Congress in Osun State, Olutubishon Oyintiole, has revealed that the efforts by opposition leaders to form a coalition against President Bola Tinubu ahead of the 2027 general elections will not succeed. Oyintiloye, a former lawmaker and member of the defunct APC Presidential Campaign Council, revealed this in a statement released to Newsband on Sunday, June 1st in Osogbo. The chieftain urged political figures, including former Vice Presidents Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, as well as former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, not to waste their time and resources on what he described as an already failed project. And now to end the local news, at least 9 passengers have been confirmed killed by improvised explosive devices, IEDs, suspected to have been planted at a local bus stop in Mairari village of Guzamala local government area of Borno State. The incident, which took place around 11 a.m. Saturday, also left scores injured by victims, were also later evacuated to hospitals in Mugono and Meduguri. Marari village is situated along a main road, which is about an 18-kilometer drive from Mugono local government area and 119 kilometers away from Meduguri, the state capital. The agrarian village, which has been dislodged and resettled 2 times, is now a ghost community due to intensive and renewed Boko Haram attacks. And now onto the foreign scene. More than 25,000 residents in 3 provinces have been evacuated as dozens of wildfires remained active on Sunday, June 1st, diminishing air quality in parts of Canada and the US. Officials revealed that most of the evacuated residents were from Manitoba, which declared a state of emergency last week. According to reports, about 17,000 people were evacuated by Saturday, along with 1,300 in Alberta, while 8,000 people in Saskatchewan were relocated as leaders warned the number could climb. The smoke was, however, worsening air quality and reducing visibility in Canada and some U.S. states along the border. Also, Germany's chief of defense has revealed that members of the Western Alliance, NATO, need to prepare for a possible attack from Russia within the next 4 years. General Carsten Brower revealed that Russia was producing hundreds of tanks a year, many of which could be used for an attack on NATO Baltic state members by 2029 or even earlier. Brower insisted that NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, remains unified over the war in Ukraine despite differences of opinion expressed recently by both Hungary and Slovakia. The defense chief revealed this while speaking on the sidelines of the Shangri-La Dialogue, a defense summit in Singapore organized by the think tank International Institute of Strategic Studies. And now on to sports. Matthias Cunha will join Manchester United after the club agreed to pay Wolves the forward's €62.5 million release clause. The Brazilian has been in Manchester to finalize the details of a 5-year contract with the option of an additional year after passing the medical. All right, that is where we'll wrap it up this afternoon on the BDTV News at Noon. I am Norma Owona. Stay tuned.
2 years is not too early to campaign. People just say that.
I want my children to be great.
Transportation is killing almost every one of us in Nigeria.
There is no profit in business again.
Tinubu is not the cause of Nigeria's suffering.
I did not vote for Tinubu, I will not lie.
I've heard about the student loan, but I was told it was not real.
Many have weighed in their opinions on the issues surrounding the 2 years so far with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. How far has it been? It has been 2 years. And so we decided to get out there on the streets to talk to market women, talk to students, and also speak to some professionals who understand what leadership is. And my team, of course, had all that time that they needed. But more importantly, the question is, so far, are we feeling the brunt or are we enjoying the leadership? All these questions need to be asked so we know exactly where we are as a country. So this is how far, so far, on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's leadership in Nigeria. So let's take a look and see what and what we had to gather. We'll be right back.
That would preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So, help me God.
2 years ago, a promise of renewed hope, Bola Ahmed Tinubu stepped into Nigeria's highest office. He inherited a nation's yearning for change, grappling with complex changes and challenges. Well, today, as his administration marked its second anniversary, we asked the question, so far, and how far has Nigeria come? From bustling markets to quiet neighborhoods, the heart of Nigeria beats with a mix of expectations and experiences. So we spoke with ordinary Nigerians from the marketplace.
I will tell you to go and check all these products. All these local made, they're supposed to reduce the price. They should check where they are producing it. If it is stores that are taxing them, that is making everything to cost, they should know how to do it because all these local made supposed to benefit us. It's not important now. Why are they suffering us? Look at, you cannot, if you want to buy biscuits now, before you buy this one, they will give you another one. Without that one, they will not allow you to buy your right one. Everything is just upside down. Tinubu should make things good for us. He should visit all this, especially these local goods. Because the way the thing is coming out now, we are just like selling for them. There's no profit.
I did it for Tinubu. Tinubu is not the cause of Nigeria's suffering, to my own perception. because if you look it from the critical view, Nigeria has been corrupted before before Tinubu climbed the seat, to my own view. Though I'm jobless for now, but it's not Tinubu's fault. This is my 14 years of graduating, but I didn't regret it. Under Lagos State, during the Tinubu regime, I've acquired many skills under his regime.
I stay in Surulere. So in the morning, my husband will come and drop me. He will come and drop me here. My going home with my son, I spend, if I do Aroro, I will spend 2,000. If I do not do Aroro, I will spend like 2,200 or 2,400. When I'm very small, it's our father that has gone out to go and hustle. But now, we women, what we are doing now, we're doing many things. We are more than men now in the house. We are the men in the house now. I want my children to be great.
To schools and universities, and of course some students, and their voices painted a vivid picture.
The impact of Tinubu for the 2 years that he's on the as the president of Nigeria, and also for the economy also, sir. From my place to my school here, because I live at Ibejuleki, so me coming here, I spent 5,000 naira for transport fare. If I'm also going back home, I spend 5,000 naira, making 10,000 naira. So for this month alone, I've been spending 40,000 naira on only transport fare alone. Transportation is killing almost every one of us in Nigeria. If I'm coming to the school, I have to do what? I have to eat. Let's say I estimate myself for the food. I eat, let's say 1,000. So it's a lot. I heard about the student loan that we can actually take a loan that when we want to fill the form, they will ask for the name of the school and everything, and also the account of the school. They will deposit the money into the account of the school. That after we graduated from the school, they will be deducting the money from our salary. But I've not been benefited from the loan.
It affected me negatively because it's first time with my parents. So whatever affects my parents will affect me. It has not been easy to support my education. They should just consider us more on their plans and anything they want to do. They should consider the students. Like I had to come here from Badagry because my study center at Badagry does not have a lab for our practicals. So I had to come all the way from Badagry here to find a place to stay and all of that. It has been very risky and not easy. I've heard about the student loan, but I was told it was not real.
For some, the fuel subsidy removal and rising cost of living have brought significant hardship, while for others, they acknowledged that tough decisions holding on to hope for long-term gains was necessary. But again, insecurity remains a deep concern for many. Even as the government reports progress, it's a daily balance between struggling and resilience for Nigerians. So to understand the strategic shift, Elizabeth and I from BDTV News turn to Professor Anthony Killer, who is the director of CIAPS, a leading strategist in governance and policy making. He highlights the administration's bold reform, like the exchange rates unification aimed at fiscal stability and attracting investment, which was not bad. But again, while these moves are made, the administration undoubtedly has caused immediate economic pain, particularly with inflation.
I am one of those people, the few of us left, that do not agree that removing fuel subsidy was a good idea.
Fuel subsidy is gone.
A lot of people agree that it's a good idea, including those of us who were against it before. All of a sudden they agree, let history and their conscience judge them. Because when some of us were against it, it wasn't personal, it wasn't political. It was pure economics. Why am I against removal of fuel subsidy? Because I know as a trained economist, and I want to underline that, when you remove fuel subsidy from a system like Nigeria, I was against it under Jonathan because I said it will increase the price of transportation, it will increase the price of food, it will create poverty. And that is exactly what has happened now. If you say to me that you have to remove fuel subsidy, you have to tell me two things. One, why do you want to remove it? And two, what are you going to do with the removal? If you're removing it because people are corrupt, then gather the corrupt people together and jail them or stop them from being corrupt. The people involved in the corruption of fuel subsidy are less than 2,000. So because of 2,000 people, you're going to make 200 million people suffer. That does not make sense the way I was brought up. But there's something very wrong about that, and it needs to be said.
Professor Anthony Killer also went on to point out some key areas where Tinubu's administration and style has affected the nation, but the challenge still lies in translating these policies into tangible improvements for every citizen of Nigeria.
I think so far the government is very high on intentions and politics, but rather low on governance.
Okay.
And I say this because I use 3 elements, 3 criteria. What did they meet there? What did they promise? And what do we expect from them? When they were going to government, what the promise was lower prices, more food, more employment, a better Nigeria. For any reason in the world, that is, by the way, so far so bad, because the cost of energy has gone up, the cost of electricity has gone up, prices of food have gone up.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know, maybe they're building the house, maybe it will be better, but in the meantime, it is rough for people, and it must be said, because if it is not said, government might get a wrong impression. Whether they are doing it for our own good. They celebrate reforms. Technically, I can see some of these reforms. I disagree with some of these reforms. I think we're halftime now. At halftime, government should be saying, I have done this, not I am going to do. I call it governance by tenses. By halftime, government should be using past tense, not future tense. So they shouldn't be saying what they're doing or what they plan to do. I think that's not good for Nigeria. And because I'm not a partisan politician, I still hope that, they do something very quickly to improve the situation. But generally, the situation is bad. If you're in a country where the bag of rice is more than the salary
of the average
Nigerian, that's not a good place to be.
So it is no news that President Tinubu's first 2 years have been marked by often difficult decisions to spark growth and changes in our economy. But again, is Nigeria now on a better trajectory? That's the question mark. And the path ahead is still unfolding, for sure, but fraught with both promises and ongoing hurdles. We ask again, so far, as the nation moves forward, should the ultimate measure of his leadership so far be focused on how swiftly and equitably the benefits of renewed hope is touching Nigerians in different ways? If at all, has it truly reached the homes and lives of all Nigerians? Well, the journey continues.
And so you heard everyone's opinion, from students to market women. You heard them rant over how they've gone through a lot and how it's difficult for them to be able to come to work or go to marketplace, even be able to get to lectures on time. Does this mean that Nigerians are going through a lot? Does it mean that the fuel subsidy removal affected the nation in a very, negative manner or otherwise? Now, we also heard Professor Anthony Killer being interviewed by Elizabeth, and you heard all he had to say. As a professional, he weighed in. But looking at the streets right now, cars, as people mean to say, people are still buying fuel at exorbitant prices, but they have the money to buy this fuel. So the question is, 2 years has come and has gone. Are we moving forward or are we regressing? You decide. Has the 2 years of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu favored you or not? A big question that needs big answers. My name is Monica Valentine, bdtv. Until some other time, let's keep hoping.